And welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Tonight's starting grid is brought to you by Subway. In the first row, David Reagan and Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon actually won this race a year ago.
Here in row 2, Eric Jones with 2 wins already in 2016. Starting next to Sprint Cup star Joey Logano.
Row 3, we have Daniel Suarez starting next to Darrell Wallace Jr.
And back in row 4, Justin Allgaier and Brennan Poole. They finished second and third at the last Super Speedway, Talladega, back in May.
Yeah, row 5, we have Elliott Sadler, who won the last plate race in Talladega, and a very talented Corey LaJoie.
Row 6, we have Ty Dillon starting next to Benny Gordon. Benny Gordon making his career best start this evening.
Back in row 7, Brendan Jones and Ryan Reed. Ryan Reed actually won in February 2015 right here at Daytona.
Yeah, row 8, we have Chase Elliott, who did win here in February, starting next to Blake Cook.
2 longtime Xfinity veterans, Brendan Gaughan and Jeff Green, make up row 9.
J.J. Yaley, a veteran in this row, as well as Mark Thompson. Actually, Mark Thompson's just making his second Xfinity start tonight.
Yeah, road course ace Justin Marks and Mario Gosman make up row 11.
Row 12 made up with Eric Almirola, Sprint Cup veteran, starting next to Ross Chastain.
And back in row 13, starting 25th, Joe Nemechek, a 2-time Daytona winner.
In row 14, in his first Xfinity Daytona start, Spencer Gallagher, starting next to modified champion Ryan Preece.
Row 15, 74-year-old Morgan Shepherd, starting next to Ryan Seed.
Back in row 16, Bobby Gerhart, so good at Daytona. 8 times he has won in the ARCA Racing Series.
Row 17 is NASCAR veteran David Starr and Joey Gase.
2 Florida natives make up row 18, Scott Lagasse Jr. and Ray Black Jr.
Back in row 19, Ryan Ellis and Alex Gwinnett. They are making their first Xfinity Series Daytona start tonight.
And also making his first Xfinity Daytona start is Garrett Smithley and BJ McLeod make up row 20.
So the field rolling around this 2.5-mile super speedway. Let's chat with one of the drivers. Let's see if we can talk with Eric Jones. Jeff.
Hey Eric, it's Jeff Burton, bud. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad of a day when you get to go racing.
Yeah, it's always good. So you have 2 wins already this year. Tell us what it's going to take to get this win tonight.
Well, I think staying up front is going to be the big thing for us. You know, it seems like every time we can stay up front of these speedway races, or at least in my short experience on speedway races, we can come out of here with a good finish. So stay up here and hopefully stay out of trouble.
So since you already have 2 wins, you're already in the chase, does that allow you to be extremely aggressive to try to stay in the front tonight?
It does open up a lot more opportunities for us to stay aggressive. You know, if we were in a traditional points format, like I was last year in the truck series, you really got to be conservative at these races and try to come out with a good solid finish. But with the chase format, it allows us just to go out and race, which is great. I love it. So we'll try to stay up front, try to get up here and contend for a win all night with our DeWalt flexible Camry. Should be pretty fun.
So in the Xfinity Series, there's a rule that you cannot lock bumpers and push. How challenges is that to keep from locking bumpers and trying to push a guy to get an advantage?
Well, it's a big challenge here. You know, these cars really want to lock bumpers. That's how they want to go. That's how they want to draft. So it's such a big advantage when you do lock bumpers that it's tough to. As a race car driver, you want to do the thing that's going to make you the fastest. So when you know you can lock on and go faster than everyone else, you want to do it. So it's tough to stay off them, but you know that you're going to probably get the black flag if you do it. So try to follow the rules.
Well, good luck managing all that and have fun tonight.
All right, 10-4. Thank you.
So impressive to be able to talk to the competitors just before they're about to take the green flag. That's coming up next here on NBCSN.
This weekend is rich in tradition.
This 4th of July weekend here in Daytona.
It's a time for all generations to celebrate.
There's nothing in the world like being at the World Center of Racing.
And in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, there's much to be excited about.
Eric Jones will get his first win of the year. He won at Bristol on the concrete. He wins at Dover on the concrete. The NASCAR Xfinity Series has a new concrete king.
The future of the sport has arrived, charged with carrying on its traditions, but also leaving their own mark.
Daniel Suarez wins for the first time in the NASCAR Xfinity
And there's no better way to do that than a victory at Daytona.
Nobody will beat Ryan Reed to the start-finish line, and he has won here at Daytona.
Tonight, NASCAR's next generation shines under the lights as they go wheel to wheel with some of the biggest stars in the sport. It's the Firecracker 250.
The future stars of the sport are on track right now in the Xfinity Series, and our aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods, giving you some great pictures of the action tonight around this 2.5-mile super speedway. We are also going to ride along with a few different drivers, including Ty Dillon in the number 3. That is the Chevrolet on board. Ty Dillon will start in the 6th row, 11th position. Daniel Suarez, number 19, has the Sunoco on board. He starts in row 3 in that 5th position. Joey Logano in the 22. The Ford on board, starting in row 2 in the 4th position, and right next to him, we just spoke with him, Eric Jones in the 20 has the Toyota on board. He will start in the 3rd position. Take a look at the race facts for tonight's events. 200 miles, or 250 miles, 100 laps. Pit road speed 55 miles per hour. Most people will think, oh, it'd be easy to get down to 55 miles per hour. But once they're going over 190 miles an hour, it's very difficult to get down to 55 miles per hour on pit road. The fuel window, 44 to 48 laps, Steve.
Yeah, I think it really is going to come down to a strategy of how many tires you need. The fuel window is big enough. Track position will be important. It's going to come down to, you want 4 fresh tires or 2 fresh tires at the end of this race.
Pack Racing. They can come close, but as Jeff, you mentioned with Eric Jones, they can't lock bumpers. They can bump. They can continue to bump and try to aid the car in front of them, get a little bit of a run, but they have to stay off where they can't lock bumpers and stay attached all the way around the racetrack. Pace car is making its way off of the track and onto pit road. That leaves the field in the hands of David Reagan. Green flags in the air. We're racing at Daytona. And already the top 4 working together to get up to speed, going through the gears.
You can already see the temptation to lock front bumper and rear bumper and try to push. You could see how when they were making contact, it was help pushing them out. But you have to separate. If not, NASCAR is going to penalize you.
2 by 2, they go down the backstretch. A beautiful sight under the lights of Daytona. 3 wide now. About 8 rows back. As they make their way through the tri-oval for the first time. And the tri-oval is not an easy turn. It's not a straightaway on the front stretch. It's definitely a turn, not as much banking.
Yeah, that actually makes the tri-oval more difficult at times, Rick, with that lack of banking. You still have to make the corner, but very little load on the race car.
David Reagan out in front, driving that number 18 for Matt Tift. Just got out of surgery. Just behind Reagan, Eric Jones. Daniel Suarez in the 19 has already won this year.
You can already see right now, it looks like the inside line is going to be the preferred place to be. That's going to be, as this race moves on, that's going to be big. Where do you want to try to be? Do you want to try to be on the inside line? Do you want to try to be on the outside line? And it could change depending on which cars are what line. Right now we have 3 Toyota teammates leading on the bottom line.
Yeah, I think that really affects which line has the strength. When you have a 2nd and 3rd place competitor that are patient and willing to ride behind the leader, they can really give some strength to that line.
Yeah, if the 2 cars in the outside line, if the 2 car and the 22, if they could just lock up and just stay locked up, they'd have a great chance of catching the front pack and maybe even pulling ahead. But as we've talked about, you just can't do it. If you stay locked up too long, NASCAR is going to penalize you. Hit, get off of him, hit him again, get off of him, that's okay. But constant pushing, you'll be penalized.
Joey Logano, one of the best, and he is right behind the 2 of Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon won this race a year ago. working that outside line, trying to catch up to the inside line, led by David Reagan.
You know, another advantage that inside line has, Rick, is they have the protection of that double yellow line. They know that no one can go below that double yellow line. That's out of bounds here at Daytona. So as long as the leader can keep his left sides against the double yellow line, he can protect that side. Although we're seeing now some organization and a move by Dillon out of the top lane.
Austin Dillon's going to take the lead away from David Reagan. Can he bring Joey Logano with him in the 22? They're going to move to the bottom of the racetrack. They are the top two. We're on lap 4 of 100. There will be a competition caution at lap 15. That is because they have not had a lot of time on the racetrack. Yesterday, they were supposed to have 2 practice sessions, but the rain came, abbreviated the first session where there weren't all of the 41 cars that were here. They weren't able to get out on the track, and so that is why we'll have a competition caution at lap 15.
And Rick, I almost credit that pass of Austin Dillon to Joey Logano. Again and again, we've seen Joey Logano, one of the most aggressive pushers, and having that balance figured out between locking bumpers and just continuing to make contact.
Jeff, it always amazes me. We come here year after year, but the closeness of these cars as they're going 190 miles an hour around Daytona and moving, trying to change lanes, trying to fit a car in a spot where only a car length can fit.
And you have to do it. You have to be aggressive. If you're going to win this race, you have to be in the front. You have to obviously get track position and keep it. But to do that, you have to make very aggressive moves. You have to side draft. You have to go into holes that your car will barely fit in. To do that takes nerve. And you almost have to you have to forget about points. You have to forget about that and only try to win this race if you want to win. You can finish 10th by being conservative, but you can't win it by being conservative.
One of the craziest things that happens at Daytona is the communication between driver, spotter, crew chief. We were listening into the 7 on the bump drafting that's taking place. Here's what they had to say.
22 car pushing, imagine that, right outside you there. He's still locked bumpers with him. Same old story. Outside, you're pulling him now. Outside, pushing again there. It's unreal. Outside, just a 22 pushing him out there. Still there, door.
Mike. And great communication between Justin Allgaier and his spotter. However, he is having a little communication problem with his crew chief, Jason Burdett, as they rolled off and took the green. He said he was having difficulty hearing his crew chief. They haven't rectified that yet. He can't obviously hear his spotter very well, but they're a little bit concerned about the communication between driver and crew chief right now, Rick.
And you know, Rick, some of that frustration you heard on the radio is when you go back to the finish here in the spring, Joey Logano pushed Chase Elliott out there, and they came really door-to-door, quarter panel offender to the line. The garage area, the consensus in the garage area is it was pushing, but that wasn't the consensus in the NASCAR control tower. They have to monitor that. They felt Joey Logano was bump drafting, not pushing, but not a popular move in the garage area.
And it's an extremely difficult call to make. I wouldn't want to be NASCAR trying to make that call. Very hard to police, in my opinion.
Austin Dillon back in the position he was in 1 year ago when he won this race. Austin Dillon in front at Daytona. Now, near the back of the pack, about 4 cars involved in this first incident. Ray Black Jr. being one of those in the 07. 25 also involved. Scott Lagasse Jr. and the 90 of Mario Gosselin.
It's hurt bad.
Alex Gwinnett also, we believe, involved. There's the 25, the left rear quarter panel damage. Again, they were mid to probably 75% back in the pack when this took place. Let's take a look at what just happened.
We talk about all the pushing and hitting on each other. Well, sometimes that results in what we just saw. It's contact from the 25 car, it looked like to me.
Well, we talked about a little bit earlier how tough the tri-oval can be, and that started in the tri-oval. It looked like the 25 either thought he was clear or the car got tight and pushed up. For some reason, it started to change lanes, got into the quarter panel of the other car, causing the accident.
Yeah, the 25 of Scott Lagasse Jr. moved up the racetrack. That's the yellow hood on that car, moved up the racetrack.
And you don't know if he was trying to get in behind him, or as you talked about, you're in the trial where the car gets a little bit light. Maybe he lost the front of his car, had to chase it up the racetrack. Not real sure, but obviously contact started with him.
Alex Gwinnett in the 97. from Montreal, Canada. Got tagged and then around he went.
That's a big hit right there. Ray Black Jr. in that white, blue, red car, those 7. When you're up against the wall and somebody comes into the side of you and hits you like that, that is a big impact. It doesn't look as dramatic as, say, Kyle Busch's wreck looked today in practice, but that one really hurts.
Another look at speed.
That camera really shows just the speed these cars are traveling. I think it's easy to lose touch with how fast they're going because these drivers do such a great job of running in these tight packs, but when the car gets backward, it's amazing how much faster it looks like it's going.
Yeah, and all these teams running toward the back, these aren't heavily funded teams. They're lower budget teams, don't have the funding that some of the front runners have, so this has a major impact on their finances.
One of the things that's going to happen when they come to pit road, because there's a competition caution scheduled for lap 15, they will not be able to add fuel under this stop. So pit road will be open. The drivers can come in if they want to make any adjustments, tires, but they cannot add fuel until lap 15 in that competition caution.
And for that reason, Rick, I expect to see very few of the front half of the field pit. Fuel is really the whole point here. You need to get to that fuel window. Lap 15 caution will get them there.
Just a few takers at the back of the field making their way to pit road. The first accident happens early at Daytona. Watch every Xfinity Series race with the NBC Sports app and get closer with additional camera angles, driver stats, and track information. It's available on mobiles, tablets, and connected TVs. Download the app and find out more at NBCSports.com/live. NASCAR has let us know that the competition caution has now slid to lap 20. So they will go a few more laps before they come to pit road under that caution. Welcome back. Cars side by side once again as we get ready for the restart. Subway Firecracker 250 powered by Coca-Cola. Austin Dillon shows the inside line, and Joey Logano will be on the outside line. And Joey Logano showed us, I think, exactly what it means to bump draft at Daytona.
Yeah, this is the point of contention with all the competitors on what's the difference between bump drafting and pushing. So if we ride along right here, we're going to see the 22 push the 2 out to the lead, and it looks from a distance that they're locked up. But when you go on board with the 22, Jeff, we continue to see some movement between the front and rear bumper.
This is, I think, the most difficult call in all of racing to try to make this call. But if you see they're bouncing, he's not, it looks from the side like he's locked completely up, but they're bouncing off, and that's what NASCAR told us. When they look at it, they have to look and see if the 2 is literally getting away from the 22 and there's a bouncing effect. If it is, then they don't consider that locked up. But I understand why the competitors would look at it and say, hey, he's pushing it, because if you're behind it, it certainly looks like that. I think it's an extremely difficult call to make.
And Rick, whether he's pushing, bouncing, drafting, he's totally blind. Joey Logano in that position is close to 200 miles an hour, pushing a competitor and cannot see through that car in front of him. It's like going down the interstate, following a tractor trailer, just hoping everything in front of him is clear.
Yeah, and think about that. When you're going down the interstate, you don't want anybody right on your back bumper. Well, here you do at over 190 miles an hour. Getting ready to come into the restart zone. You'll see that on your screen. Austin Dillon, the control car on the inside. Green flag's back in the air. Eric Jones helping the 22 of Joey Logano out in front of Austin Dillon on the restart. Elliott Sadler in the 1, now on the outside, leading that outside line. Elliott Sadler already a win in 2016. Will be a part of the chase at season's end. New for the Xfinity Series in 2016.
There's another example of why that call is so difficult. You know, Austin Dillon is saying they're pushing him. They're locked up because the 2 outside cars, they were pushing and got to the front. So we're going to see this all night. And then when you think somebody's doing it, then that means you can do it. And that's just going to be a continuation all night long.
Very early on, we see blocking taking place already. Joey Logano moved to the bottom of the track. That gave the opportunity for Elliott Sadler to make the move on the high side.
Well, rarely do you race to a guaranteed yellow flag where we have one 6 laps from now, Rick. So they're going to jockey very aggressively for position before the competition yellow.
And Elliott Sadler.
The 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. is going to go around. He catches the 48. The big one happens in front. 2 of Austin Dillon is collected. 3 of Ty Dillon gets through.
Definitely left front damage.
Brennan Poole involved in the 48. You see the 19 parts. Daniel Suarez, a win already this season. Austin Dillon, last year's winner in the Xfinity Series race on this 4th of July weekend.
This is everybody's fear at Daytona and Talladega, getting in a wreck. You didn't start it. You had nothing to do with it, but you get torn up. It is what makes Daytona so frustrating for drivers. It's so much fun to race here, so much energy, compelling to win, but it is so frustrating to get caught up in somebody else's wreck.
We saw Joe Nemechek, Justin Marks. Take a look at what happens.
It all starts right here with Darrell Wallace Jr. and Brennan Poole. You see trying to help the 48, trying to help the 6, but as the 6 moves left to right with contact with the bumper, it spins it out. Heavy contact between the 42 and the 2. The 2 gets airborne, but safely comes back on the tires.
And that is why NASCAR does not want these guys locking bumpers. It's why they don't want pushing. And again, it creates this rule that they have to enforce, which is very difficult, but this is why they have that rule. Brendan Poole gets into the back of the 6, trying to help the 6. Didn't get his front bumper lined up to the 6 like he needed to. Got the 6 going in the wrong direction. This works well when done properly, but when not done properly, this is the result.
Eric Jones in the 20, also involved. The only driver with a win this season in the Xfinity Series regular that wasn't involved was Elliott Sadler, and that's because he was out front. That was the contact Eric Jones felt.
Hold it.
That noise, that sound, that impact, that's why I'm sitting up here. Just, you know, you can expect coming to Daytona you're going to be in a wreck. You just expect it.
Jones. Go around, and then the contact there.
We just got caught in the right rear. We made it through it, but then we got clipped in the right rear. Going to come to you with right side damage, guys.
Daniel Suarez is almost completely clear. But you see right here, there's a gap between the 6 and the 48. As that gap starts to close, the 48 hits him once, everything's fine. And then he hits him a second time closer to the right rear corner, and you see that starts to move the tail of the 6 from left to right. Darrell Wallace Jr. does the best he can to regain control, but at these speeds he loses control, gets into the 20, and then you start to see just back and forth. You see the 19 and Daniel Suarez as it leaves the screen, almost has it collected. The 2, great to see that car come back onto the ground. We saw cars go airborne in Talladega. That car could have easily went up into the air and flipped over. The roof flaps open, the cowl flaps open, set the 2 back on the ground.
And the problem started with where Brendan Poole was trying to bump draft. You're still in the corner. You're still turning the wheel. Your car's not loaded up in the straight. And when he first hit him, there was a big gap. So the first time he hit him hard, and that got Darrell Wallace Jr. kind of out of shape. The next time he hit him, that finished him off. The timing of when and how you bump draft is very important. The first time you hit a guy, you got to roll up to him. You got to drag the brake just a little bit and make slight contact in the corner. On the straight, you can hit a guy pretty hard. The front bumper and the rear bumpers line up really well. But again, you have to pay attention to when you're trying to bump draft a guy. Just a number of cars that get torn up. It's just, and you think you've missed it. Like you think, I'm going to get through it. Next thing you know, somebody's running into the side of you. I've seen this so many times.
What a close call also for Corey LaJoie in the 24. Went through the grass. Dave.
Rick, these drivers and teams always talk about how to avoid the big one. Well, run up front and you won't be in trouble. You saw where Eric Jones was running 3rd on the inside line. So he was up front. Trouble still found him. Eric calls the car pretty messed up. The steering is straight, but a lot of other problems. Marty?
Dave, you can see top right of your screen, the red flag has now been displayed here at Daytona. As you guys saw, Daniel Suarez nearly made it through that. However, they do have right front damage on that car for Daniel Suarez. He said his steering wheel is out. You can see that orange piece of tape tape on the steering wheel. It's moved to the left. That means the toe is knocked out on the car. They actually thought about taking it back to the garage area to fix this damage, but they are going to try and repair it here on pit road. But obviously with the red flag out, they cannot do any work now, Kelly, but you can see that right side damage for Daniel Suarez.
Well, and this is going to be hugely disappointing for Darrell Wallace Jr. He called this a high expectation weekend. In fact, told me just before the start of the race that he thought he had the car to win. Well, he's got a lot of damage to that 6. He said the toe was knocked out pretty good. They already brought it down to get 4 tires and check the clearances. This is his 2nd time down pit road, and Bubba back out on track said the steering is messed up, so they're going to go to work as soon as they can here on the 6th to see if they can't get him back out there. Rick?
A very abbreviated practice yesterday. Did not let a lot of drivers get out and run in the pack. And this is what happens when you don't bump draft exactly right. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Ford. We go further so you can. And by Xfinity. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. Big one happening early. We're under a red flag condition. Let's go to Mike Massaro.
And Austin Dillon out of his race car, a good race car, one that had led quite a few laps, but a short night. What did you see?
I'd seen the 6 side draft, the guy in front of him, and the 48 just got into him, but it's just a product of guys trying too hard too early for competition caution 10 laps from now. I seen it out of my side, out of my peripherals. I tried to go low, just didn't get low enough, so I knew when the 6 was up there, I didn't know what was going to happen, but part of it, I guess, is just speedway racing. I wish I would have went lower. I made the mistake of not getting low enough when I saw it. I thought I had missed it, but part of it, and you know, just proud of these Dream guys. They brought a fast car.
We're seeing a lot of bump drafting already. What's it been like out there so far?
I mean, it's part of it. The cars line up fine, so you just kind of have to know when you're pushing a guy sideways, I guess, is the biggest thing. I mean, when you get to somebody, you want to be lined up square and push them straight, and you don't have to side draft this early in the race. That's another thing.
Early night for Austin Dillon. Certainly had a car capable of winning tonight, Rick.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 10s in his last 10 Xfinity Series starts entering tonight. That more than likely is going to end. Let's hear from his brother who made it through that accident. He can chat with Jeff.
Hey, Ty, Jeff Burton, close call for you. Tell us what you saw.
Guys tried to get a little too much too soon. I know this is a short race, but I think 17 laps in was a little too much. But yeah, I was able to get slowed down enough, kind of work my way through it. Saw Joe coming back across the track and knew that was going to be close. Luckily, I was able to throttle up, but in the midst of it, saw my brother up in the air again. It's not real fun. I'm not a fan of watching him race here the last couple of times. I'm glad he's okay, but a little too exciting right now for how early we are in the race.
So we have already seen drivers trying to lock up, trying to bump draft, and that was the cause of this wreck. Tell us what your strategy is to try to do it without causing a wreck and also not getting penalized.
Yeah, I think that's the gray area we're kind of working in. Is everybody knows the bump is pretty valuable. It's just doing it at the right time, and you know, my strategy is just to stay up front, stay in the top 4 or 5 here at the end of the race. So you know, get connected to a good car and hopefully have enough room to push them out. If we have the opportunity to take the lead, we're willing to go and try and win this thing.
Well, Ty, thank you for taking time to talk to the fans here during the red flag. Good luck the rest of the night.
Buddy.
Ty Dillon, the younger brother. He's 24 years old out of Welcome, North Carolina. His brother Austin Dillon in the garage because of this accident. Pit road is open. This is considered the competition caution for the Subway Firecracker 250. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Rick, because Ty Dillon did not slide his Goodyear tires in that incident, they won't change them. They'll just give him Sunoco fuel, Mike.
Joey Logano has a very fast race car, and it seems to be handling better once things settled down. It was a little bit tight off 4, but other than that, pretty good. Marty?
Elliott Sadler, no tires on that. Fuel only for Elliott Sadler. Also fuel only for David Reagan. You see the hood up because they're trying to cure a cooling issue. The car has been running warm, so it'll be fuel only and taking care of that cooling issue for David Reagan, who leaves pit road now, Rick.
Yeah, we see that a lot. Cooling definitely difficult when you're running so close to the cars in front of you. Race off pit road, Ryan Sieg, Ty Dillon. Sieg making up 9 spots on pit road. NASCAR Race View gives you access to features that let you follow your favorite driver as you're on or at the track. Get live stats, leaderboards, driver and team communications, and more on all your devices. It's available now for an all-new low price when you visit NASCAR.com/raceview. Subway Firecracker 250 involved in this most recent crash. 14 different drivers. And you see the first 7 here. The second 7, Eric Jones involved, Justin Marks, Brennan Poole, and Joe Nemechek. Mike Massaro.
Brandon Jones was another one involved as well, Rick, and he sits in his race car right now as the RCR team goes to work on it, trying to make repairs and get him back out on the racetrack. But Brandon, obviously you didn't want your night to end like this. What did you see?
I saw that we had made it. I thought, I had a clear path right there. Figured we'd get through, and then last minute got knocked out in the right front there. So really unfortunate for our Florado Chevy. I thought we had some for him tonight for sure. One of my better tracks, I think, on the circuit. So unfortunately we couldn't strike on this event, but they'll all be next time.
Lots of work going on. Have they given you a damage assessment on the race car in terms of maybe how quickly they might be able to get you back on the track?
I know they had to change the radiator. There's a couple of holes in it. Pretty big fender damage as well, so I think they got to do a lot of modifications up there, but we'll see. I think we'll get back out there and try to at least finish out the night.
With the chase berth perhaps on the line based on points, Rick, a lot of these teams in here right now making as much repairs as they possibly can, trying to get their vehicles back out on the racetrack.
Absolutely. Every point counts for these Xfinity Series regulars. And we saw something happen there where the 2 almost got off the 4 tires and over, but it stayed on the 4 tires and came back down. I want to take a look at our animation. This is the NASCAR Heat Evolution animation from our wind tunnel.
Yeah, Rick, we've put our car in the wind tunnel here. You see the airflow of the car going straight. It's front to back. But when we spin the car out, the air goes up over the roof from the back, creates lift. That opens these roof flaps. The air then hits the roof flaps, slowing the air down over the roof of the car, Jeff, setting it back on the ground.
That's right. So watch the 2 car. You can see as he's spinning, now he gets straight, now he's going to get hit. This is when cars have gotten airborne. Look at the roof flap. So now the roof flap's up in the air, preventing that lift from occurring, making downforce, helping get the car back on the racetrack. That's the advantage of the roof flap. That's a worst case scenario. He's being hit by another car. That's helping him launch up into the air. The roof flap comes up, helps set him back down.
And a reminder, NASCAR Heat Evolution, that is released on September 13th. Pre-orders are available online now at NASCARheat.com. That's a great look at how the roof flaps, cowl flaps work to keep these cars on the racetrack.
And that's just one small item, Rick. We've heard all weekend long, Austin Dillon had that just horrific crash here at the end of the Cup race a year ago here at Daytona. We've heard all weekend long about what they've learned from that crash, a bunch of different safety innovations. Some worked, some didn't, but NASCAR always looking for ways to make racing safer.
And let's go to another that's been involved, Kelly Stavist.
Center, after getting caught up in the big one, it came early. How did you see it unfold?
Yeah, the outside lane was going pretty good on that restart. I know 48 was pushing to 6 pretty hard, and I think just hooked him and got him loose off of 2 there. And at that point, you got to just pick a lane and try to slow down and hope that they don't come back in front of you, and they all did. So I know I hit the 2 a ton and got hit a ton after that. So it's a bummer. It's a bad deal, but there's a lot of veterans here and active duty military here. And that puts everything in perspective because there's a lot worse days than crashing at Daytona out there, and I'm just really excited that Comcast Xfinity got all those guys here.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks.
Justin Marks talking about the different installations from our military friends that are being represented on the windshields of these Xfinity cars this weekend. Justin Marks was carrying the 2nd Battalion 6th Marines Regiment. As you see, Ty Dillon, he has the 1st Battalion 2nd Marines Typhoon on his windshield. Ty Dillon very involved with Hope for the Warriors as well out of Camp Lejeune. Elliott Sadler won at Talladega earlier this year. Elliott Sadler has the 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne. As we get ready for the restarts, Elliott on the outside. Ty Dillon was able to hang on to that inside spot.
Every one of these restarts, Rick, it's almost a rehearsal for the end of the race. Each driver figuring out how much we can see the front 2 rows push. This is the most aggressive we've seen. We've seen a couple cars do it, but Jeff, now we see 4 cars too wide with that push through 1 and 2.
When we say push, NASCAR's looking at it. You can't lock bumpers, but you definitely can bump all the way up through the gears and up to speed. Elliott Sadler surges out to the lead. Ty Dillon on the bottom of that line trying to stay in front of Joey Logano. And then on the outside, it's the 18 of David Reagan.
And you're going to see Elliott Sadler. He's going to run to the inside, try to block that inside momentum from coming. He wasn't able to do it. They're jumping on the outside of him. Cleared him.
So Ty Dillon, with Joey Logano's help, is going to go to the lead. Here comes Joey Logano now, looking for the lead as he goes to the inside. And Logano leads at Daytona. Now the bumping.
Great example. Get off, hit him, get off, get it. He's not locked up completely. That's a great example. You can see how he hits him and comes off. It probably looks like he's pushing him to the 3 car. Probably looks like he's solidly pushing, but he's not.
But you see how he got off him right there. You mentioned about areas of the racetrack, Jeff. When we talk about Daytona and handling, it's not really the straightaway. It's not really the middle of the corner. It's the transitions. When a car goes from a loaded part of the corner, it unloads to come up on the straightaway. Coming in here in the tri-oval, the car never settles. It's a very difficult place. You don't want to push or bump another car in that location. Corner entries and the tri-oval, those are the toughest spots.
This was the pass by Joey Logano. After shoving the 3 out in front, Logano decides to make the hard left turn and take the lead away from Ty Dillon. Oh, and around goes the 20. Eric Jones spins now.
Get it locked down. There's nothing else coming.
And the caution comes out.
Nothing coming when you're ready.
It's been a tough night already. The 3rd caution coming out. Eric Jones around again.
Bring it to as best you can here. I don't think you hit anything, did you?
Sounds like he's got a tire down to me. Sounds like it may have been why he spun, or maybe after he spun, he flat spotted it, but sounds like you can hear a tire flat from inside the car.
Leader's just now at the line.
Yeah, I think he probably cut a right rear tire. He had damage on the right rear quarter panel from the previous wreck. You can see all the tape. Quite possibly the tire got against something that had been damaged and ended up cutting the sidewall of the tire. That would be my guess. I don't know for sure, but I'd say that's a pretty good guess. Anytime you can spin at Daytona with cars behind you and don't hit anything,
it's pretty good.
That's a good day.
Yeah. But it has been feast or famine for Eric Jones this year. 2 wins already, but also finishes outside the top 20. Definitely right rear tire.
Hang on to it there. Hang on to it. We lost the right rear some, guys. Get it locked down. There's nothing else coming.
Great job. You know, you see he turned the car, he had to correct the car, got onto the apron. He was able to, because of where he was, that was a big advantage. Had that happened to him getting into the corner, he would have spun and been in a wreck, but getting off the corner gave him some room. Dave, you got something?
Jeff, you were right earlier. After you have a wreck like that, as you know, you pit multiple times to fix it, and each time you go around, you mention the next thing that might still need to get fixed. They thought they had the tire rub fixed. Obviously not.
So they continue to work on the 20 of Eric Jones.
And Steve, it's very difficult when you're in the pits. You think it's all clear, but you don't travel the car. The car doesn't move like it does on the racetrack. So the team didn't intentionally do something. They thought it had enough clearance, but once the car travels, that clearance narrows up.
Yeah, and if it's not the car traveling, Rick, at 190 miles an hour, the amount of air on the sides of these cars is tremendous. It can push the quarter panel in. Just stick your hand out the window, run down the interstate at 70 miles an hour. Feel the force on your small hand versus the size of that quarter panel. 200 miles an hour, blows in, rubs the tire. That's what ends up happening.
And it looks like he's got a parachute on the right side of that car. He goes around bringing out the caution for the 3rd time tonight. What a gorgeous evening as you see the sun setting. Our aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Racing under the lights at Daytona International Speedway. Always a great experience. Unless you're Eric Jones. And we ride along with Eric. Listen in to what just happened with him. Jeff, that is so violent. What does that feel like as a driver when you're going nearly 190 miles an hour and you hear what sounds like almost a gunshot?
Rick, honestly, it scares you. I mean, it honestly does. It happens so quickly. You're not expecting those kind of things to happen. And all of a sudden, there's an explosion inside the car. Next thing you know, you're turning around sideways, and it gets your attention quickly, without a doubt.
This is a position you hate to be put in as a crew chief, too, Rick. You know, you're forced. Eric Jones in this 20 car, they're forced to continue for points. I know they have won and they're in the chase, but this is good practice because in the chase you're going to have to finish every race, get every point you can. So while they may technically not need to run right here today, they're learning a lot, learning about what parts they have built, the repairs, how they can do it better. But you hate as a crew chief to put your driver on the racetrack with a car that you can't take your time and prepare properly. You have to do the best you can on pit road.
And you can see they got upset. They were mad because the cars came around and put them a lap down. They weren't able to get the car out. That's why you saw the crew members throw their hands up, and they were upset because they weren't able to make the repair work and beat the cars out without getting a lap down.
Front two are Ty Dillon and the 22 of Joey Logano. Here was what the 3 team had to say about the 22 on the radio.
Next time we get in a situation with a 22 on our tail, we're not going to wait till he gets clear. We're just going to clear ourselves. Leave him out after he did to us. Yeah, we's working together. I see it's all one-sided now.
You listen to the spotter. Tab does that every time.
I don't have time to listen to him. We just know the deal now.
You mean to tell me the drivers are getting disappointed that bonds were broken during a restrictor plate race? I mean, I love drivers meetings. I love driver introductions at restrictor plate races. Everybody's all buddy. I'm going to help you. I'm going to do my best. They're all liars. They're all going to help themselves and do whatever's best for them.
I'm going to give Jeff Gordon credit here. We used to come to restricted plate races, and every meeting I was ever in, he'd look at his teammates and just say, you know what, I'm going to apologize right now, guys, because I can't be loyal. I have to do what I have to do, and I think that's what you see out of great restricted plate drivers. They push when they can, but in the end, it has to be about yourself.
Marty, that car was up in the air the last time we saw it.
It was flying through the air, wasn't it, Rick? A moment ago, last time we saw Austin Dillon. And yes, they have already fixed the car. He's back on the racetrack for this restart. Just incredible. I asked the team why. Well, of course, owner's points. Remember, they are 3rd in the owner's championship standings, just a couple of points out of 2nd. So Austin Dillon going to do the best he can to limp this car home. But amazing. A moment ago, flying through the air, now about to take the green flag.
Austin Dillon scored 6 laps down. He's currently scored 32nd. Pace car about to make the hard left turn. He leaves the field in the hands of Joey Logano and the 3 of Ty Dillon. Back in the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Who works the best together? Right now, David Reagan pushing the 22 of Joey Logano on the high line. On the bottom of the track, Elliott Sadler in the One Main Financial #1, that blue and white car, pushing the 3 of Ty Dillon. Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 6, too fast exiting pit road, so he had to come back to pit road, and they are 3 wide again.
I thought for sure after that last couple accidents, Rick, that the pace would calm down. People would get a little more organized, 2 wide racing. But the drivers don't seem to agree with me. We're already 3 wide, only 28 laps into this race after some big accidents, still door-to-door action.
But you know, you heard Ty Dillon when I talked to him during the red flag. He made the mention that this was a short race. And that's in everybody's mind. It's a 100-lap race. There's 70 to go. I mean, this race is going to wind down quickly, so you want to have that track position. Even though it seems like it's a long way away, if you can get that track position now, maybe you can hold it and put yourself in position to win this race.
Well, because no matter how good of a car you have, Jeff, as you mentioned, if you go back 2 or 3 rows into that 3-wide racing, you're not going anywhere. You might as well be at a standstill on the interstate. There are no lines open. They're doing it 200 miles an hour, but if there's no room to race, you can't move forward.
collectively holding our breath, because you just know that when they're 3 wide going around this racetrack, anything can happen. The slightest mistake can trigger a big accident.
There's just no available real estate. If you make a mistake, if you move a little bit too much, if you don't anticipate your competitor moving, there's no room for error.
Let's get a few updates from pit road. We'll start with Dave Burns.
Rick, in February, the 3-car of Ty Dillon was one of the fastest. In fact, it was the fastest qualifier on the pole. Brought the same car here, but it qualified 11th. I asked the team what happened. They told me we needed drivability in our very fast race car. So they added the ability to maneuver, the ability to make moves to possibly get around cars to that package, and it qualified further back. But obviously, it's still very good if they can learn how to work with the 22. Marty.
Well, David, countdown to green. Dale Jarrett didn't hesitate to pick his former teammate Elliott Sadler to win this race. After all, Sadler won at Talladega in this race car. He was leading the final lap at Daytona in February in this race car, so he was very pumped up coming into this race. On that first run, he said the car was a little bit too loose, but he said, don't tighten it up too much. I'm afraid that'll take away our speed. Kelly?
Marty, Chase Elliott narrowly avoided getting caught up in that wreck, but even though they escaped that big one, the team knows they're not out of the woods yet.
I think this race last year we had 3 cars left running that didn't have damage. I was one of the 3 and I had damage, so that's not right either. What's in for then? No, I know it was not pretty.
It was not pretty. Well, when he came down pit road, they made a wedge adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for Chase Elliott. Mike?
Kelly, talking to Justin Allgaier before the race, you could sense his confidence. He said this is the best super speedway car he's ever had. Asking him why, he said, well, I can just do everything with it. The car always listens and allows me to run any line on the racetrack. Problem, though, in that last caution, he got a little bit of damage on the front fascia. They did repair it on pit road, but the car is not exactly the same. Still feels like he's got a shot to get to the front, but clearly not the car he had when he began the race, Rick.
We're watching Justin Allgaier, Junior Motorsports. What a season we have seen out of Justin Allgaier, as well as Elliott Sadler.
And Rick, this is why we saw all the competitors so aggressive after the restart, because you see they're starting to get organized in the bottom lane. And we have now 7, 8, 9 cars single file in the bottom lane. So if you couldn't get up early, you're now losing spots. Chase Elliott did a great job gaining positions, but he's stuck in the high lane, the second car in the top lane. And as that falls back, he's losing that ground.
He's looking for a place to go, and he's looking to push the car in front of him. But if the guys on that inside line stay disciplined and they stay in line and they're able to bump each other at the appropriate times, it's going to be hard to make that outside line work. That's one thing about all those cars being in these wrecks, is that it slows that momentum down because there's less cars.
Maybe a little debris on the front of the 22. You seeing that, Steve?
Yeah, and you know, here when we come to Daytona and Talladega, you see that white piece of paper stuck to the nose of the 22 car. The grill opening, the amount of air allowed inside these race cars is limited by NASCAR to try to help reduce some of that pushing we've been talking about. So out front as the leader, Joey Logano perhaps is still getting enough air. I'm sure they're asking him his temperatures now, but he has to be very careful. One, if he gets back in the pack, it may blow off, but if it doesn't, there's definitely not going to be enough air when you get into the draft to keep the car cool.
And that's a great point to bring up, Steve, because not only are these drivers looking out the front of the car, the windshield, but they're also looking out the mirror to see where the drivers are making their moves. They also have to look at their gauges. He's going to have to look at his gauges more often because they know now that there's a piece of debris, maybe some paper on the front. They don't want that thing to overheat.
Yeah, in today's world, the gauges, they're programmed. So if the water gets a certain temperature, the gauge will start flashing red. It'll first turn yellow, then it'll turn red, then it'll flash red. You can see all these gauges are white. So the gauges being white tells me he does not have an issue.
You can hear in the background the radio they were talking about. They think it's a garbage bag that's on the front of that car. And they're hoping that it's okay. But of course, Joey Logano's going to have to keep his eye on the gauges to make sure it doesn't overheat.
And to be honest, if it doesn't overheat, it's an advantage for the 22 car. It's almost like they put a couple pieces of tape on it. You have to remember, you have to apply tape to these cars for every situation, which means you can't add tape assuming you're going to lead, because if you end up in the pack, you'll overheat. Joey Logano, the leader, that's going to reduce the drag. It's like adding tape, like it's adding tape for qualifying. So if there's enough air, it could be a small advantage.
But it also makes it so that he probably will be more aggressive. If he gets put in a position by the 3 of Ty Dillon, Ty's going to try to make a move, I think he's going to block even harder because you don't want to get back in the pack with that tape on your nose. So you really want to fight hard for that track position. Mike, you have something on the 22?
Yeah, I just spoke with Greg Irwin, who used to be the crew chief on the 22, now an advisor to Brian Wilson. He said they're not really concerned too much about the temperatures right now. Irwin believes that as long as they're out front, they're getting a lot of air on that front of that car. And because of that, they're not terribly concerned at the moment.
That's a good thing, because we are on lap 37 of 100. On the windshield of Joey Logano, the 82nd Airborne Division on this Independence Day weekend. Recognizing the different armed forces, battalions, different groups from all areas of the armed forces. It's Ty Dillon still tucked in behind the 22, all the way back to David Reagan in the 18, who was on the outside line, leading that outside line, trying to gain some momentum, using side drafting every now and then to bring the cars back.
What happens to the outside line, though, is there's options. You know, we'll see the 18 and the 88 get a little organized, start making a little ground. But as soon as they do that, a car 2, 3, 4 behind it, we continue to see the white 14 pop out of line. When he does that, while it might help him for a little bit, it hurts that entire lane. The opposite is the inside lane. They're pinned between the outside lane and that double yellow line. So Joey Logano, Ty Dillon, Elliott Sadler, Brendan Gaughan, as long as they stay patient, committed to one another, they're taking the shortest way around the racetrack, very organized.
Yeah, the outside lane, what it's going to need something to happen on the bottom. Like they get into turn 3 and they get too close together and they have to lift to keep from wrecking. That kind of thing is what it's going to require for the top to get going. And we see that quite often. We see a guy get into the back of somebody. He's got to correct the car, gets loose. Everybody's got a brake check, and now the outside line gets a run. So right now, I think that they're going to have some sort of scenario like that to make this outside work.
And we saw the 33 of Brandon Jones a little bit slower on the high side of the track. 2 lines going by him at Daytona. Ryan Preece in the 0-1. Looks like he had a mechanical issue. The engine went away on that. And so the field back under caution. He was on the outside line, which is always dangerous when you have smoke and something happening in those cars.
Yeah, and everybody behind him did a great job. See, the guys got away, and then obviously it was all on the racetrack right there. But the guys behind him did a really good job not to get into the back of him. Again, you're at Daytona. You can't see very well in front of that car. You're just not expecting the car in front of you just to stop.
All clear. Stay up there. Stay up there. Stay up there. He's still on the bottom. Stay up there. Cautious out. Cautious out.
That was Daniel Suarez we were riding along with.
He called it before it happened.
Yeah.
You can see a little bit of smoke coming out of the tailpipes, and he saw it, and he called it before it happened.
Sometimes you can even smell it. You know, as that engine starts to go sour, starts burning, oil comes out of the exhaust.
And so Ryan Preece will bring that car to the attention of his crew. It will, I'm sure, go into the garage as they will look at that. NASCAR returns to NBC tomorrow night. The Sprint Cup Series hits the track for the Coke Zero 400, powered by Coca-Cola. Coverage begins on NBC at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll take it from here.
Tomorrow night, Rick, major chase implications. Just like tonight, we're seeing these accidents. Front-running cars get taken out. It's going to be exciting. Under the lights, Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to make it. Chase Elliott trying to guarantee a spot. Kyle Larson without a win. A lot of excitement tomorrow night at Daytona.
So when you have debris on your grill, you do anything you can to get it off. So see, he's rubbing the back of the face car. Of course, I wouldn't wonder if they charge him for the body repair. There it is. It's gone. So you probably never actually touched the car in front of him, but just getting close to it changes the pressure, actually pulls the piece of debris off the grill.
Well, he'd have to bump draft. He couldn't push the pace.
That's right.
That's not allowed, but maybe you're allowed.
You can't lock bumpers.
Can you bump?
Can we get a review of that to see if that was pushing or bumping?
Wayne Otten may black flag Joey Logano for trying to lock up with the pace car, that Camry.
We have controversy under caution.
This is a major point in the race, though, as far as
Still closed this lap. Still closed.
here, right there, reporting pit road still closed. You know, we're outside of the fuel window, 58 to go. So I don't think anyone's thinking, hey, I need to come down, get fuel because I can make it to the finish. But what they are thinking is, if you think you want to be aggressive with tires. Put them on now. It'll set you up for later in the race.
A lot of speedy dry still on the racetrack. They'll clean that up. We'll take a quick break.
From aboard the USS Bergen.
So appreciative of our armed forces, especially on this 4th of July weekend. And a lot in attendance tonight as the Xfinity Series continues to honor and say thank you to the men and women that continue to protect us home and abroad. And cars on pit road, we go down to Dave.
Rick, crew chief Shane Wilson wants Brendan Gaughan in the lead, thinks he can get him that by not changing Goodyear tires and going with fuel only. To his right, the 3-car of Austin Dillon, they'll go right sides only in fuel, Mike.
And it's just a chassis adjustment, both track bar and wedge, and fuel for the 22 car, no tires. Marty?
2 tires for Elliott Sadler, who said the handling was perfect on his race car, but Kevin Mandring making the call for a wedge adjustment to keep up with a changing racetrack. Rick?
Shane Wilson making the call, and Brendan Gaughan getting out in front, winning the race off pit road.
And everyone's about 9-10 laps short in that front.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Subway Firecracker 250, powered by Coca-Cola. NASCAR Drive is NASCAR.com's live race day companion. Select your in-car video or camera angle, access integrated driver stats, lap-by-lap commentary, social conversation in real time. Won't miss a lap when you visit NASCAR.com/drive on your personal computer now. Take another look at what took place on pit road. This is the 22 of Joey Logano coming in for fuel-only stop.
Yeah, little things matter. You can see, clean the grill off. Watch the fuel man. He's shaking his head. Go, go, go. You're full. You're fuel. When he goes, the car stalls. Now he's got to refire it. He took no tires, but he did not gain the advantage he would have gained because he started leaving pit road.
And track position, very important, even at Daytona, because you have to be able to figure out where in line you can move and where in line you have to stay.
Yes, and we've seen a very rough, aggressive race tonight. You want to stay towards the front. While we did see one big accident off the front, normally the accidents are farther in the pack.
Let's chat with one of our competitors, Brendan Gaughan.
Hey, Brendan, Jeff Burton, your crew chief Shane Wilson. No tires. You feeling good about that strategy?
Yeah, our tires are pretty good all night in the South Point Chevy, and we kind of had a plan from the start of the race. It's kind of working into what we thought. So I'm happy with no Goodyear tires. I think they're darn good today.
So what you've seen so far, how important do you think being in the front is? Do you think you'll be able to come from mid-pack to win the race, or do you need to be in the front?
It's been pretty tough today. We came from 17th and moved our way to the top like 8th that first run. But it's pretty tough today. These cars are stalling out pretty bad. So I'm happy with the view from the front and hopefully going to stay here.
All right, well, good luck. We'll be watching.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. An honor to have the 23 SDS on the race car this week.
Brendan Gaughan, an honorary member of the 23rd STS.
And Rick, when Brendan said the cars are stalling out, what he means basically is in the draft, there's kind of a accordion effect. Runs come and runs go, help comes and help goes. Really what these drivers are looking for when you get help, when a car pulls up behind you, how far can that run go? Does that momentum carry the entire backstretch? Does it carry past 2 or 3 cars? Or does it give you a little bit of help and then stall out? And that's what Brendan's talking about, that you can get runs, you can get an advantage on your competitor, but it doesn't last a very long time.
Let's see if there was frustration in the 22 pits. This was the radio when they had the problems on pit road.
I can't figure out the damn clutch in this stupid thing. Every freaking week. Yeah, copy that. We'll definitely pay some attention to that and work on it for you.
So you would think when you go to lead pit road, that'd be easy. But you have to remember, Joey Logano goes from a Cup car to an Xfinity car. One has fuel injection, one doesn't. So these things are a little bit different. They accelerate a little differently. When you dump the clutch and you go to the throttle, if everything's not synced up just right, and some cars are harder than others for whatever reason, the gearing, those kind of things matter. If all that's not synced up perfectly, it'll stall the car. And obviously, this isn't the first time this happened, but it's very difficult to try to figure out how to fix it. Sometimes you can change stuff in the carburetor and the fuel injection on the Cup car and make it better, but the gearing makes it that much harder too. And at Daytona, you have a high gear on pit road.
And sometimes it could just be the location of the pedals. You know, their feet are busy in there, as you well know, Jeff. You know, left foot on the clutch, right foot on the brake, heel towing. They have a lot going on. Sometimes it's just uncomfortable for a driver, or a very sensitive clutch.
Joey Logano will restart just behind Brendan Gaughan, and Joey Logano's been one of the best pushers already on restarts. We'll see if he gives Brendan Gaughan a big shove as they go into turn number 1. Elliott Sadler's on the high line. We'll see how good of a restart he has. They come into the restart zone once again. Eric Almirola tucked in behind Elliott Sadler. Almirola in the 98. Ryan Reed in the 16, third on the bottom line. And here goes Joey Logano. Is he going to continue to help? No, he's going to hang Brendan Gaughan out, and he's going to go by for the lead.
When Ryan Reed tried to go to the bottom of the 62, he had to stop that, because had he gone below the yellow line and made that pass, he would have been penalized.
Once again, Joey Logano, even with the mishap on pit road, back in front of the field at Daytona.
And once again, we see 2 or 3 cars clear the pack. The rest of the field, 3 by 3.
Through the tricky triangle. Tri-oval as they go through there and into turn number 1. As you mentioned, 3 wide. Look at the tape coming off. Ty Dillon getting a little bit of a shove there. Oh, and another one around is going to hit the inside wall. That is the 19 of Daniel Suarez. Big damage to the front end of Daniel Suarez. He's going to put the window net down. This is one he can't drive back to the pit road or the garage.
Yeah, putting that window net down tells NASCAR rescue personnel that you're okay, but I promise you that hurt. That head-on impact into that inside wall, even though it's a safer barrier in there, that's a hard impact, and I can promise you it hurt him.
And they paved the backstretch too. There used to be grass back there and you could pick up speed, but that pavement at least scrubbed off a little speed. Let's take another look.
Just looks like might be contact between the 2 cars. It looks at this point that the tires are still up until they lock up. We can't see the left front. You see the right front below there as it slides across the pavement. But right here, you're going to see a great shot of the impact. Watch the soft wall. Watch how much it deforms as that 19 hits it. You're going to see how it absorbs the energy right here. A big hit. Great wary hit. You know, a few farther feet down, that wall turns back out to allow the safety vehicles come in and out. Luckily, he hit where he did. But it was great to see him drop the window, as you mentioned, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't like that wall where it turns out like that. I wish the wall could continue straight and they move the inside wall. But you see right here, he got up the racetrack. I don't know if he had a problem prior to that. Obviously, he either had a tire going down or a handling issue. He got up the racetrack, got into the side of the car beside him, and that got him going in this direction. Big impact.
Yeah.
Again, you know, thank you to Daytona International Speedway for putting these safer barriers up all the way around the racetrack. Again, you cannot control where these cars are going to hit. They will find places in walls. It will find places to hit. Have to have those barriers. Right here. He gets up the racetrack. Got a little bit loose. Had to chase up the racetrack. Made a little bit of contact. That started this whole incident.
You see him bring his hands into his belts so that his hands aren't on the steering wheel in case that steering wheel whips.
It does. These
the wall.
Steering mechanisms in these cars over the years have become faster and faster. And what that means is when you lose control and the front tires go back and forth when you hit the wheel, that wheel can turn 180 degrees. And you would imagine the spokes in that steering wheel catching a thumb can easily break a hand or a finger.
Very rare to see Daniel Suarez have to get out of the car and go to the infield care center. But the other time that he had his other DNF was here back in February of 2015 for an accident, as we see Justin Allgaier making it onto pit road. Mike?
Allgaier taking on fuel. It doesn't look like they're going to take tires. He's pretty happy with the handling of that race car. He's away, Marty.
Little strategy move for Elliott Sadler and Kevin Mandering here. They're going to go left side tires for Sadler. Remember, he took on right side tires last time, and all the fuel that car could stand, all the Sunoco fuel it could get. They were about 5 laps short, so they play this right, get enough cautions, they might be able to make it to the end.
Right here,
big strategy here.
It is a really aggressive strategy call. Elliott Sadler had decent track position. Kevin Mandering making an aggressive call on top of the picture. Remember, Elliott Sadler, he has a win. He's in the chase. Let's be aggressive. Let's try to win another race.
5 cautions tonight before halfway. That's a record. We go NASCAR nonstop.
Bud Light Party here to discuss equal pay.
Women don't get paid as much as men, and that is wrong.
And we have to pay more for the same stuff.
What?
Yeah, cars.
What?
Dry cleaning.
What?
Shampoo.
What? You pay more but get paid less? That is double wrong. I'm calling everyone I know, and I'm telling them about this. This has got to stop.
Bud Light proudly supports equal pay. That's why Bud Light costs the same no matter if you're a dude or a lady.
Yeah, Mom, you have to pay more for a car than Dad. No one treats my mom like this.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack knocked over a candlestick onto the shag carpeting, and his pants ignited into flames, causing him to stop, drop, and roll. Luckily, Jack recently had Geico help him with renter's insurance, because all his belongings went up in flames. Jack got full replacement and now has new pants he ordered from Banana Republic. Visit geico.com and see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
What do you want for lunch, honey?
Can I have some KFC original recipe?
Excellent choice. But might I suggest something a little extra crispy? My extra crispy $5 fill-up is freshly double-breaded by hand. It's a tasty real meal for just $5.
Mine extra crispy, boy?
Sure, kid. KFC. It's extra crispy good.
This is the Ford F-150, the only pickup with a high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy body. Of all the full-size half-ton pickups, it's got the most towing, the best payload, and the highest gas mileage, plus no body rust. And guess what? This is the safest F-150 ever built. The only pickup to pull the government's 5-star safety rating and earn an IIHS top safety pick. This is the F-150, and Ford F-Series is the undisputed truck leader for 39 straight years.
Blue the dog here for propane. You know, I'm just a humble dog. I didn't attend the elite boarding kennels, but I do know that nothing beats the freedom of living out here. With propane, people can live where they want and just as cozy as they want. Whether it's a hot bath, no thank you, a warm bedroom, or a perfectly grilled steak. Drop it. Drop it. Drop it. Proudly independent, proudly American, proudly propane.
Next Friday night on NBCSN, Xfinity Series racing from Kentucky. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. Names are made here. Team Penske swept Kentucky last year with Brad Keselowski and Blaney. And take a look at tonight's Toyota driver update. David Reagan currently running 5th. Jeff Green is 8th. J.J. Yaley 15th.
And no disrespect to J.J. Yaley, but I would say it's a rare case that he makes it onto that list. It's just been a tough night for those Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas that normally dominate.
Some guys on pit road, Marty.
Elliott Sadler among those. We talked about the call by Kevin Manring, the aggressive call. This is to top off to ensure not only can they make it all the way, but also if there's a green-white checkered at the very end of the race, they feel like now they'll be good for that as well. So a bold call by the one team.
When you talk about commitment, Rick, that's a big commitment because now they were going to even start behind the lap down cars. They've gone all the way to the back. But it's interesting to see 3 Junior Motorsports cars come down pit road. Not just the one of Elliott Sadler. We saw the 7 of Regan Smith, the 88 of Chase Elliott, all on pit road consistently. But that's one good thing is now they have drafting partners.
And I like that strategy because there's been so many wrecks. We really don't have any cars that are like 1 lap down. We have cars that are 3, 5, 6, 7 laps down, and they all have damage. So essentially, even though you're supposed to start behind them, you're probably going to start like you just came off pit road, the last car on the lead lap.
And even the guy out in front is wondering what is going on with the strategy of the one. Here's what the 22 radio had to say.
I'm assuming the story is that 1 can make it from here. We must be close.
Yeah, copy that. We're just discussing that right now. I mean, I still feel like they're not a guarantee that they can make it, but they're right on the edge of it. So, that's kind of the scenario right there. We're just a couple laps off of what they can do.
That is I think we missed the strategy, so we're not going to guarantee they can make it on fuel.
Yeah.
But to defend Joey Logano, there's still 48 laps to go. I like the aggressive pit call, but I agree with the 22. Stay out. Keep the track position. You're on the front row. For this crazy race, I think that's where I'd want to restart.
Junior Motorsports cars won both plate races already this year, trying to continue that sweep. Back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Ty Dillon in the 3, trying to give a little bit of help to the 22 of Joey Logano. But we heard on the radio earlier, once you clear him, we're not worried about him. Eric Almirola in the 98. On that outside line, and Logano will jump in front of him.
Joey's got a block. If he doesn't, he's going to get past. So you're going to see Joey switch from left to right, trying to maintain this track position. Looks like to be in good shape right now. 98 came in behind him.
Logano staying out front. Eric Almirola bump drafting. The two starting to separate themselves from the pack. Hearing that the 19 of Daniel Suarez checked and released from the infield care center after the most recent incident. Two Cup Series stars out in front of the field in the Xfinity Series.
Brendan Gaughan, you saw he got a bad restart a little while ago, but now he's worked himself back up to third place. So even though he did not get a good restart, he's still in good shape.
This would be a huge win for Joey Logano as we ride along looking back on the field. He has had 4 runner-up finishes. The Penske organization has had 4 runner-up finishes at Daytona, but has never won in the Xfinity Series at this track. And Joey Logano now leading with Eric Almirola all over his back bumper. And as I just mentioned, Suarez coming out of the infield care center. Let's go to Kelly.
Yeah, he's just been released, and after that nasty hit, Daniel, but how did it happen?
Well, everything started before the competition caution when everyone got crazy super early and we got involved in the back straightaway. The car wasn't right after that. We were just trying to, make some laps and trying to save some points. The car wasn't right. The car was just super tight. I wasn't able to go anywhere. And at that point, I was just in the middle of in the 3 wide. I was in the bottom, but when somebody was on my right side, my car was getting super, super tight. I don't know who was the guy that was on my outside, and obviously he didn't know that, but when he got very close to me, I got super tight, and then I felt like I barely touched him, and then I just spun out. It wasn't not a lot I was able to do in that point. I was pretty much able, I was trying to just survive, to try to make some adjustments and try to, I don't know, maybe get a top.
Running well at Super Speedway.
Yeah, Ryan Sieg. We've seen there's several cars here, lower funded teams. Ryan Sieg does a really good job every week, gets the most out of his equipment. You can see him right here in the green and black 39 car. They do a really good job, and what they have, they really are doing a good job. And then the 21, right behind him, Gallagher. There's not a team that's greatly funny. You don't see them running in the front a great deal of time, so they're having a good night. All these accidents have created an opportunity for some of these guys we typically don't see running in the front. Let's see if one of them take advantage of it.
Yeah, we're talking about Ryan Sieg, 11th in points, plus 19 over the cut line. Remember, a chase has changed the dynamic of the Xfinity Series, where this driver would be 175 points out of the lead at this point in the season. Currently, he knows if he can stay in that top 12, he's going to make the chase. Having some technical difficulties, we will take a quick break, and we will be right back with more action from Daytona.
And welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Sorry for those technical issues. We continue on with the Subway Firecracker 250 powered by Coca-Cola. 40 laps of racing to go. A quick race, 100 laps, 250 miles, and it goes very fast when they're going nearly 200 miles an hour around this track. Out in front, Joey Logano, Eric Almirola, Ty Dillon, David Reagan, Ryan Sieg still running in the top 10. But that second line, that outside line led by Brendan Gaughan, making up some room now.
Got a big run down the back straightaway off of turn 3. Let's see if they can keep that momentum. A lot of times you'll get a big run, but then the energy on the inside line overwhelms you and pulls back out. Let's see if Brendan can keep it up.
Brendan closing in on the 4th position.
Brendan has Ryan Reed, a guy we've seen win this race before. So Ryan Reed has worked himself into position, and he's a guy back behind Brendan pushing.
A little bit of bump drafting. One of the cars that you don't see up in the front any longer is the one of Elliott Sadler. What's going on with him, Marty?
Yeah, the one car not in that lead pack, Rick. And it's funny, he and his spotter, Brett Griffin, were having a conversation before this restart. Do we be aggressive? Do we be conservative? And Elliott came on the radio and said, I'm going to be aggressive unless it gets crazy. And about 3 laps into this run, he said, it's a little too crazy. He backed out. They told him he's good on fuel, and he's about to pick up his teammate, Chase Elliott, as a drafting partner. You see him right up there in that 88 car, that blue and gold car. That's going to help him out tremendously. So Elliott Sadler kind of pacing himself right now, trying to get back to that lead pack, and again, has fuel to make it to the end. One of the few in the field that does.
And I think that's the key, Rick. Elliott Sadler can be very patient back at 25th because he knows he has more fuel than the majority of the competitors in front of him. There's no reason to put himself in a position to crash. He needs a yellow to get the track position. Everyone have to pit but him, and if it goes green, they'll have to pit with a few laps to go, and he'll get his track position then.
The 18 of David Reagan also thinking about fuel as we're seeing Brendan Gaughan get shuffled out on that high line, and he will start to fall back. But the 18 of David Reagan, this is what they had to say on the radio.
Let me know if they make a surge. I'm going to try to save just a little gas right here. 65% throttle here, maybe 70.
That's saving fuel when you only have to be at 65 or 70%, and you're running in the 4th position.
Well, he's in the best spot to save fuel. He's got a car behind him. He's got cars in front of him, so he's got the draft from the cars in front of him, taking air off his car. He also has the cars behind him taking air off his car. And with those being in between those cars, you don't have to run full throttle. You can run partial throttle and still stay in that position. So somebody can save fuel. He's in a good position to do it.
How about Eric Jones taking that Toyota back up into the middle of the pack after wrecking earlier? He's still on the lead lap and still running well.
Never quit. Keep trying, never quit. You never know what can happen. He's been in 2 wrecks already, but still out here with a shot.
Question is, do some drivers think about saving fuel and trying to make the run, other than Elliott Sadler, who we know came onto pit road later than everyone else to put fuel in?
Even if you don't, though, the beauty of saving fuel, what David Reagan's doing right here, is every bit of fuel he saves is less fuel they'll need to put in if they do come down pit road. So the pit crew and the crew chief can be very aggressive, shorten his final pit stop, perhaps either save track position or gain a little bit more track position.
Such an impressive run, as we were mentioning earlier, for David Reagan, who's trying to save a little bit of fuel. 4th car back in that line. And again, David Reagan in the seat of that car because of the fact that Matt Tiff had brain surgery today. Normally the driver of the 18 as we ride along with Ty Dillon, who's currently 3rd.
And what a great view, riding along with Ty Dillon. What he's doing is he's paying really close attention to the car behind him and the car in front of him. You cannot let the car behind you get a good run on you. You got to block that bottom. Make sure you do not give him an open on the bottom. If he passes you on the outside, he passes you on the outside. But stay right against that yellow line, getting into the corner, down the straightaway. Everywhere you go, stay against that yellow line.
Every time I see this shot, Rick, the vision amazes me. How that car, as he closes in on that car in front of him, how much of his view's blocked. Ty has a pretty good view in the corner. He can kind of look past the left front of the car in front of him. But right here, as he enters the straightaway, even in the tri-oval, he can't look past the 98 of Eric Almirola. All he sees is the big black spoiler on that car.
And that spoiler blocking his vision. All he knows is to get up to the back bumper, bump, and try to stay right up with Almirola, who's currently running 2nd, and around goes to 15. Ryan Ellis slides sideways. The right rear goes down. Ellis was running in the 10th spot.
Left side, look up. Right side's down, okay. Get it back here, guys, right away. We're walking it.
Ryan Ellis, a 26-year-old out of Ashburn, Virginia. And he will bring out the 6th caution of the night. A little bit of debris falling off of that car. He needs to stay down on the apron.
See Ryan Ellis on the bottom of the racetrack. Everything looks normal and calm right there. She gets a little bit loose, get in the corner, but everything seemed to settle down. Obviously, he had a tire going down. You saw the big sparks come out of the car. Tire was going down. Car got lower to the racetrack. Did a really good job of not hitting anything. So really doesn't have any damage. I don't think the splitter ever hit very hard. I think he's in pretty good shape. Again, when you spin at Daytona in front of cars, you don't have major contact. You consider yourself lucky. Get on pit road, put some tires on, and get going.
Well, you did a good job. You just see right here keeping it down the racetrack. If he right there when he tries to overcorrect, it shoots back up. He somehow got the wheel back to the left, kept it on the bottom half of the racetrack, avoiding those cars above him.
Free pass is going to go to the 25 of Scott Legacy Jr. We look again from up above. What took place with Ryan Ellis? Yeah, that right rear tire going away on him.
Yeah, no question. Again, did a really good job. You know, just getting on the apron like Steve just said, not letting the car get up the racetrack, hitting the outside wall.
Another close call for Eric Jones right along with him.
You're going to see right here how important it was for Ryan Ellis to stay on the bottom because the cars 5 go by him on the outside right there. The 20 was in a very bad situation. If that car comes up the racetrack, the 20's collected, and there's really nothing Eric Jones could do.
And look at these guys. I mean, they did a nice job of not panicking. Eric slows down. Now he sees it. Now he throttles up to try to get away from him. Good job by everybody.
It was a Kyle Busch moment. I remember Kyle Busch a few times here at Daytona had that same sort of save.
And this caution creates an opportunity for some people. What is Elliott Sadler going to do? Is a few other people going to pit and Elliott Sadler stave out? Interesting to see the strategy plays right here.
Or some think that they can make it even when they came on 44 by just saving fuel. A lot are making the decision to come to pit road now. Dave.
Including Ty Dillon, it will be Sunoco fuel only for him. As long as he doesn't slide the tires, that's his job now. It's pit road well, Mike.
22 car has not changed left side tires all night long, and they won't do so here either. Right side's only in fuel on Logano's car. Meanwhile, Eric Almirola, fuel only. A 3.6 second stop he's away, Marty.
Sunoco fuel, no Goodyear tires for David Reagan. Chris Gale said, go on me. They waited until it was full where they needed it to go. Send him back out on pit road.
Ty Dillon wins the race off pit road, but the Junior Motorsports cars stay out, and that will give them the advantage.
Hey there, folks. It's me, the extra crispy Colonel. Now, I love original recipe, but in this sizzling summer heat, I'm feeling a little extra crispy. My extra crispy $20 fill-up is freshly double-breaded and fried to a luxurious, mouth-watering bronze. Extra crispy isn't just a product, it's a lifestyle. KFC, it's extra crispy good.
This is my 2017 Spyder F3S. It features a new sport mode that unleashes the fun factor at the push of these 2 buttons. That's my kind of girl. Visit canamspyder.com or your nearest dealer for more details.
Practice went okay, but if he keeps pushing like that, what are you gonna do? Here we go.
Can you feel it? The taste of Coca-Cola.
Can I get your autograph?
Yeah, sure.
I can't wait to show my grandson.
Good news. This year, you and the family are making it to Galactic World without a hitch. Because when your check engine light came on, you went to AutoZone and checked it out for free.
And our Fix Finder helped you figure out what was wrong so you could fix it quick.
Now this sweet ride is ready for the journey to the promised land. You know, the land with $9 sodas and 3-hour lines you promised to take your kids to. With our help, you can always fix your car with confidence. Hoods up, America.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
You guys be good. I'll see you later. Bye, Miss Wheels.
Ever wonder what your pets do when you leave home?
Oh, you cutie pie.
Just bust the move. Party's on!
Know what your pets are up to with Xfinity Home. Xfinity, the future of awesome. See The Secret Life of Pets in theaters July 8th.
Tomorrow, the road to Rio continues with the first decathlon events for world record holder Ashton Eaton. Then, at the U.S. Swim Trials, Nathan Adrian dives in for the 50-meter freestyle sprint. Coverage begins tomorrow at 2 Eastern on NBC.
Time now for tonight's Subway Fresh Take. Let's start with Marty Snyder.
Well, fuel is not a concern for Elliott Sadler and Kevin Mandering, but now you've got all your Junior Motorsports teammates over there. How comfortable does that make you?
It's definitely great to have your teammates up here. The one-main Chevy's been fast all night. We should be good to make it to the end on fuel, so we kind of put ourselves in a position here to race for the win, and Elliott's doing a great job.
Not sure that's the position he wants to put Elliott Sadler in, a man who's won restrictor plate races already this year, Dave.
And Nick Harrison trying to guide Ty Dillon to his first win of the season. That would be huge for you guys. How good is the race car?
The race car's real good. He's been conservative all night. Just trying to keep him in position here where we can strike and get a victory. We're long overdue, and we'd love to put the Bass Pro Chevy. Got NRA on the side, and these guys are way overdue on a victory, Ty especially.
Thanks, Ty. Kelly?
Barber is the crew chief for Darrell Wallace Jr., who was involved in that early wreck. You guys have just worked and worked on this car. Now you're in position to go for the win. How much car do you have left to do that?
Not quite sure right now. You know, we're good to the end on the fuel, and these guys have worked really hard all day. But obviously we got a lot of damage, so we'll find out right here what we've got left.
All right, thank you.
Again, Darrell Wallace Jr., one of the early cautions he was involved in. Justin Allgaier, Darrell Wallace Jr., Chase Elliott, Elliott Sadler, Ty Dillon, the top 5. Joey Logano back there in the 22. This is what they had to say on the radio.
We're plenty good from here, right? Yes, sir. Plenty good right there. We're one of the only guys that did tires at that point, so you got better tires than everyone. And at this point, you can turn your heat on. Simpler.
Explain that to me, crew chief. You can turn your heat on.
Go ahead, crew chief.
Does a driver want to turn his heat on?
I hope he's talking intensity. We never had a heat switch in any of my race cars, but if it's his right foot and the steering wheel, then I think the heat's been turned on for most of the race watching Joey Logano.
Darrell Wallace Jr. needs a win. Obviously, with the chase now in the Xfinity Series, a great opportunity for him to run for a championship, and in a very good position now. Went for a wild ride early. Can he stay out front?
I think he's got a good shot. I think he's got the one car behind him. He's a great pusher, so we'll see what happens there. But I don't like the damage on his car. As the leader, you know, with the car with damage, I don't like the first car to have damage on the front of the car. So I don't like the position he's in. I'd rather for him to be in the second row of the third row.
So chaotic behind the wheel, and to be in the middle of all of the action taking place at Daytona. We're going to actually listen in to TJ Major spotter for Justin Allgaier on the restart as they come through the zone.
Green, green, green. There you go, she's coming. All right, buddy. So pushing up, come up on the 6, come up on the 6. He's got to run. All right, make sure that any help you. The 6 is out there. The 1's pushing him way out here. Outside the 1. Outside. Outside, big push here. Outside door. The 1's getting help now. He's getting help. Lined up outside. They're pushing out there. They're tandeming out there. Outside, lined up. Outside, still there. Still outside, still outside. He's clear by 1 up there in front of him. Pass. Cover to that 98 quick there. Lined up real tight in front of you now. Still lined up outside. Still 20 is going to push that 22 to the front there. Lined up outside.
And Justin Allgaier started on the inside of the front row and now is 4 cars back in that inside line.
And isn't it surprising? We talked about visibility. TJ Majors gave Justin Allgaier information not only to his right, behind him, but even in front of him. He let him know how tight they were lined up in front of him. We talk about visibility. Justin Allgaier cannot see the 98 of Eric Almirola or the 1 of Elliott Sadler up there, so he has to know if he needs to lift to get off the rear bumper of Darrell Wallace Jr. in front of him.
Eric Almirola, you know, we've seen him win here in a Cup car. He is definitely a guy that can win this race, but look on the outside line. Look at the run you got going there. See if they can clear him.
Eric Jones pushing the 22 of Joey Logano. Will Logano stay with Eric Jones if they do get by the 1 and the 98, but they're not going to this time. And now Eric Jones jumps in to that lower line. Logano trying to do the same.
Oh, that's tight.
And below the yellow line, but that was to avoid an accident.
He didn't pass anybody down there, so there'll be no penalty for that. Did not advance their position by going below the yellow line. No penalty.
That was a position where they had to go down there, or he could have hooked the 22's bumper and sent him around.
And it got so tight because there was a hole open, and you saw the 20. He tried to get into it of Eric Jones. He tried to get into that hole. He did, and then Logano, he had to try to squeeze into that hole. So that caused a lot of energy to come out of that line. People had to lift and brake check. That's why you saw that.
26 laps to go at Daytona. Elliott Sadler out in front. Sadler already a winner this year. His most recent win came at Talladega, but right behind him, Eric Almirola. Mike?
And Rick, you've got to wonder if some of that home state magic will work out for Almirola once again. He's a young man who grew up in Tampa, Florida, and got perhaps his biggest NASCAR win right at this racetrack back in 2014, a rain-shortened Sprint Cup Series race that gained him a berth to the chase. Now, obviously, he's looking for another win here tonight. Feels like he's got a very good race car. Suffered some very minor damage in one of the earlier incidents, but right now the balance is very good. They took fuel only on that last stop. It feels like obviously they can make it to the end. The question is, can they get by the 1 and hold off the 22 at the same time?
25 to go, the last 25% of this race. 6 cautions already. 14 lead changes between 10 different drivers. The most recent now, Elliott Sadler out in front.
We saw how aggressive these drivers got early in the race. Imagine how aggressive they're going to get now as we get closer to that checkered flag. And we saw that the outside line has not been the way to go. So we saw Joey and Eric work exceptionally hard to get to the bottom. Now these guys on the outside, led by Chase Elliott, they're in the same position. They're looking for a hole. They're looking for somewhere to go. But no one on the bottom is going to let them in if they can avoid it. They can help it.
Chase Elliott in the 88 on that outside line, but it's the lower line. Elliott Sadler on the bottom. We go NASCAR now.
This is why I love it here. That fresh air all up in your face. My cousin Wilbur in the city has to wear a leash just to go for a stroll. I'm sorry, no. But with propane, you can live where you want and how you want. And since it's both clean and reliable, you could say propane is man's best fuel. She knows what I'm talking about. Proudly independent, proudly American, proudly propane.
Just like pit crews help race cars win on the track, STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner can help your car win on the street. It's formulated to help remove power-robbing deposits from the entire fuel system. Go with a winner. Go with STP.
Graham Rahal grabs the lead. Graham Rahal grabs the lead. You'll see the white flag. Graham Rahal. You'll see the white flag. You'll see the white flag. There's the checker.
Sunoco, the essence of racing.
$5 Sonic boombox gives you a lock for $5.
Yeah, man, Abraham Lincoln would be very proud of this. It's an honest deal.
And they named one of the sides after his wife.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, Mary Tots Lincoln.
The $5 Sonic boombox featuring a loaded cheddar dog, junior cheeseburger, side, and a drink. This is how you Sonic. Hey, yeah, like this right here.
The Ford Freedom Sales Event is on, and 0 for 72 is back on 2016 Ford Focus, Fusion, and Escape. Plus, specially tagged vehicles get an extra 1,000 smart bonus. That means freedom from interest and freedom to choose with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Now get 0% financing for 72 months. Plus, specially tagged vehicles get 1,000 smart bonus. Only at the Ford Freedom Sales Event.
At NASCAR, we find ways to make a difference. We've planted trees so emissions can be cut down. We use Sunoco Green E15, a clean ethanol blend to fuel race cars. And our waste oil never goes to waste. When the sun comes up, we put it to work. NASCAR Green. Visit NASCAR.com/green to learn more and see how you can make a difference.
NASCAR returns to NBC tomorrow night. The Sprint Cup Series hits the track for the Coke Zero 400, powered by Coca-Cola. Coverage beginning on NBC at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll take it from there. And coming up right after the race, it's our post-race coverage featuring Chris Tavoda, Kyle Petty, and Hall of Famer Dale Jarrett. Plenty of action still in front of us as we have 20 laps to go. Elliott Sadler out front, but the outside line starting to gain some momentum.
Yeah, I'm wondering who's going to see that outside line starting to gain momentum and jump out in front of them as they continue to advance. It gives you an opportunity. Joey Logano, for example, if he thinks the 88 of Chase Elliott can keep going, he sees that momentum, turn right and get in front of him, become the leader of that outside line. There it is. That's the move right there.
Joey Logano thinks it's going to work, and they shuffle behind him just a bit. Now Logano, can he take that 22 to the front with a little bit of help from Chase Elliott?
The ones trying to block, he just couldn't do it. They had so much momentum, there's no way he could get in front of him. Good move by Logano, getting in front of that outside line at the perfect time.
Joey Logano brings Chase Elliott along with him. Elliott moves up to second. Logano the leader, and now Ty Dillon on the outside of the one. Elliott Sadler.
That outside line started working because the inside line, you can see the cars getting up the racetrack. The 6 car could not hang the bottom. It started slowing everything down, and that's why the outside worked. Mike?
You know, as we watch Joey Logano, you have to recognize that restrictor plate racing has certainly become one of his strongest. Whoa, a little bit of contact there, almost as he ran the 88 car down the racetrack, and it looks like he's getting sucked back. This is not what he had planned. He had been listening to Tab Boyd, his spotter, the whole time, tried to play the block, and it obviously had an adverse effect as he falls back in traffic.
Big mistake right there, Mike Massaro. Big mistake by Joey Logano, trying to come back down and block, but there was too much momentum for Chase Elliott.
Yeah, he thought he had him cleared. He thought he could run down the racetrack and get in front of him, but he was so far to the inside, he did not have a good view of it. So everybody did a great job of not having a wreck right there. You have to block. You have to try to block. He mistimed it. He didn't judge it correctly. But if you don't try to block in this race, you will not win it.
Chase Elliott, we mentioned, wanting to complete the sweep at Daytona.
So here's a replay. Joey Logano's committed to the top, makes a late move to block the bottom right here and forces Chase Elliott below the double yellow line. Now that is an out of bounds line. NASCAR's reviewing this. In my opinion, Chase Elliott was there. He was inside the 22. He had no choice. He was forced below the double yellow line. I don't see that as a penalty. NASCAR will review it. They'll have to make a ruling. But that's what is very difficult when that subjectivity comes into these races. But it looked to me like the 22 forced the 88 below the line.
No question he was forced below the line, and no question he advanced his position below the yellow line. So it puts NASCAR in a difficult spot, but without a doubt he was forced there.
And Joey Logano all over the back bumper of Ty Dillon.
And we've heard from NASCAR, they agreed that the 22 forced the 88 below the yellow line. The penalty for the 22 is he lost the spots. There's no extenuating circumstances for him, but the 88's pass was clean.
That's a Chase Elliott out in front. Elliott won this race in February. Kelly, what's happening with Chase?
Well, Chase started 15th, but felt much better about the car that he'd have here for the race. He said, I think it's strong enough to make a lane move, and that's really what matters. But this hasn't been a faultless race for Chase. They've had a couple of miscues on pit road, a couple of slow stops. They've had to change up their strategy a bit. Chase even kind of kicking himself, saying, I got to get my act together back down here on pit road. Well, he's done it, and now he is in contention to complete the sweep of Daytona, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, and Kelly, we've seen Chase Elliott take the blame, say, I've got to get better, I've got to do better. We've also seen him find a way to the front of these races. You know, he does such a good job of self-analyzing. People think it's self-doubt. It's not self-doubt. It's analyzing, learning how to be better. He expresses it, but when the chips are down, he can deliver. There is no doubt about it.
2014 Chase Elliott, the champion in an Xfinity Series. Now he's racing in the Cup Series as we continue NASCAR nonstop.
Carl, can we get a selfie? If nice guy Carl Edwards treated his fans like greasy fast food treats your body,
Yeah?
he wouldn't be the fan favorite that he is.
Face a little bit. The key is to enter the
So say no to greasy fast food and treat your body to tender all white meat chicken raised without antibiotics with the new rotisserie style chicken sandwich. Try it Carl's way with spinach. The Subway Sandwich Shop. Fresh is what we do.
Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a burglar who broke into her home and ransacked the place, making off with several valuable tuffets. Fortunately, Geico had recently helped her with homeowners insurance. She got full replacement on her tuffets. The burglar was later captured when he was spotted with whey on his face. Call Geico and see how much you could save on homeowners insurance.
Hey, I'm Paul, and I used to ask if you could hear me now with Verizon. Not anymore. I'm with Sprint now, because guess what? It's 2016 and every network is great. In fact, Sprint's reliability is now within 1% of Verizon. And Sprint saves you 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile rates. So I switched to Sprint, and millions more have too. Can you hear that?
Don't let a 1% difference cost you twice as much. Switch to Sprint today.
Let's do this.
Toyota, let's go places.
You saw the pass on NASCAR Nonstop when Chase Elliott was trying to block the high line and then the low line and then got shuffled right through the middle. And that puts David Reagan out in front. Eric Almirola running second.
You can see Chase, he tries to get up the racetrack to block the 98 of Almirola, but Almirola had already gotten there. So in trying to make that block, he actually got himself slowed down because the 98 side drafted him. Instead of staying on the bottom and ended up too wide, he tried to block, and now he's worked his way all the way to the back. So just a little bit of a mistiming on that block.
And Almirola had the lead, but it was the momentum of David Reagan on the outside that was able to take that top spot away. And so now David Reagan out in front of the field at Daytona.
Yeah, Rick, we're seeing a lot of repaired cars running well. We see Darrell Wallace Jr. up in 5th, and in 4th we have Eric Jones. The right rear quarter panel of Eric Jones has been completely replaced, but in the last few laps we've seen it start to flap loose. I don't think it's doing any damage to the car, but it's kind of hanging out. Other drivers are probably noticing it. Hopefully it'll stay attached for the final 10 laps.
We hope that Matt Tifft has been able to join us on the broadcast and enjoy watching this. Matt Tifft just had brain surgery today. He would normally be driving the 18, and here is a tweet. Matt is out and doing well. He's on the road to recovery. We'll update you all in the morning. Thank you for the prayers. But Matt Tifft normally behind the wheel of the 18. David Reagan taking over the driving duties as there was a brain tumor for Matt Tifft. He had to have brain surgery today. Marty?
And Rick, just amazing that he was literally out of surgery within the hour before this race started and in recovery right now. They said he'll be recovering throughout the evening. But David Reagan told me he wanted to do Matt proud this evening. Matt's name is still on the door of that race car. He said, this is Matt's car. It's not my car. The one thing he told me before the race, and Jeff, you can talk about this, he said, I don't know a lot of Xfinity Series drivers, so I'm going to be very patient today, learning drivers' tendencies. I know the Cup guys, but I don't know these guys very well. You could see him being patient in the field this evening, waiting to make make his move and did it at the right time, didn't he?
Yes, he did, Marty. And, you know, it's in not knowing the drivers, you don't know their tendencies. You don't know how aggressive they're going to be, how much you have to block them, how much they're going to try to block you. Are they going to side draft you real hard? You don't know all those things. So you kind of got to take it easy and just take your time and don't make mistakes. He's done a great job of getting himself in position. And, you know, you feel bad for Matt Tiff. He had an opportunity to drive a Joe Gibbs Xfinity car. That's the best in the business. And he had this unfortunate tumor. So let's hope he does well, continues to improve. The pressure's building. I mean, it's 9 to go. And you're going to have any move you make now that's a wrong move can bite you. You've got to, for these front guys, I think they have to be patient. I think they still have to wait just a little bit.
Did you say patience?
I think you have to. I think you got to just chill, make yourself not make a move too early. Look at everything, realize you still have time to make a move.
It's a 190-mile-an-hour game of chicken. Who's going to pull out first? Because if you pull out and no one goes with you, you go to the back like Chase Elliott did. Can the 20 win it from 4th? Does he think he has enough? Bubba Wallace Jr. back in 5th. Is that the position he wants to be in? But can he improve before the last lap?
Somebody is going to make a move on the outside. You're going to see some cars get together, slow momentum. It's going to create an opportunity for somebody to jump up on the outside and try to pick up Brendan Gaughan. But there just aren't enough people on that outside to work, in my opinion. Unless something happens, I think it's going to be one from this front 4 cars.
Inside of 7 laps to go. Drivers that need a win. Darrell Wallace Jr. just outside of that top 4. He is running currently 5th. Justin Allgaier in the 7. He's currently 6th. Ryan Reed in the 16 is 7th. And then Ryan Sieg just behind them in the 39 is 8th.
So in the outside line, Brendan Gaughan is being pushed by Joey Logano. That if you have somebody that can push you, can knock you to the front, I think Joey's the guy that you would want. All day long we've seen he knows how to do it. He knows how to build that energy. So if it's going to work, I think it's the best opportunity is right now.
And as they move forward, though, Jeff, you mentioned the panic. They're almost to Ryan Reed. He needs a win to make the chase. Does he pull out a line to go to the outside? We've seen the 7 of Justin Allgaier looking for the win as well. Someone is going to pull out a line and jump at the front of that outside train.
And this is it. It's starting to move right now. He got a big run getting into the corner. You see the 39 of Sieg pulled up the racetrack, side draft. It slowed that momentum down.
Still out front. The top 3 have all won at restrictor plate racetracks. Reagan, Almirola, and Sadler. Eric Jones, after being involved in an accident, still running in the top 4. Almost has a parachute, it looks like, in that right rear fender, sticking out. Definitely at a racetrack like this, everyone talks about aerodynamics, but when you're in the draft, it definitely can help if you've got people behind you and in front of you.
Yeah, this is not helping. You see 3 wide in the outside line. That is not what they need. They need to get double. They need to get nose to tail. 3 wide will kill the energy. And then now they're starting to get it sorted back out. But every lap that goes by, when you make those little mistakes, it loses the opportunity for you to get this win.
Time's running out. 5 laps to go from Daytona. Down the backstretch. The inside line still working, but moving around a lot now is Eric Almirola, Elliott Sadler, Eric Jones, all chasing after David Reagan. That outside line just not getting the momentum they need. Logano decides to get out of line with Brendan Gaughan. It doesn't help.
It's getting ugly back there. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see a caution come out from everybody trying to make that outside work. You can see they were 3 wide, cars moving around a lot.
Under 4 laps to go. Just over 10 miles.
Look at this view right here. Watching Joey Logano. He looks in the mirror more than he does out of the front windshield. He's checking the mirror. You have to drive. You have to block. You have to do everything you can. Oh, spin. Got a caution.
We're going to have a caution as they spin behind. This time it's the 92. Excuse me. 93. That's David Starr in the 93 around, and the caution comes out again. It looks as though we'll go overtime.
And everything, try to get her going here, man.
David Starr in the 93. Around. This is the 7th caution.
Push start me, push start me.
He might not realize that he doesn't have a back bumper to be pushed.
See David Starr on the inside as he entered turn 3. He got loose on the inside of the 14. He just couldn't get away from him and chased the race car, spun in front of the 4. Nowhere Brendan Poole can go. Don't know if he had a tire going down, had some sort of an issue, but they entered turn 3 really close together. I don't know if he was pulling the air off the 93 and he couldn't get away from him, couldn't turn. See how close they are?
Benny Gordon in the 14. And then nowhere to go for Brendan Poole. He tries to go up the racetrack, but gets caught up as David Starr went up the racetrack. Here's riding along with Ty Dillon. And it happens right in front of him.
So the 4 and the 93 got together. That was what happened. The 4 and the 93 got together on the straight, and that pushed the 93 up into him.
And then 4 collected there as the 93 slid sideways down the racetrack. Ross Chastain behind the wheel of the 4. So as comfortable as David Reagan could feel out in front, no more comfort.
No, Rick, but let's remember back to lap 52 when Elliott Sadler, Darrell Wallace Jr., Justin Allgaier, their crew chiefs called them to pit road to top off for a green-white checker, and here we are at a green-white checker. That might be the difference to give these guys enough fuel.
We'll be back for the restart after this. This race was scheduled to go 100 laps, but because of the caution coming out and we have completed 98 laps, this will be the 99th lap completed. We will, in essence, now be going into overtime. And the way overtime works in NASCAR is once they get to the start-finish line and the green flag comes out, as long as the leader makes it all the way through turns 1 and 2, down the backstretch, and to the overtime line in a green flag condition, then the race will be completed with the next flag. If the next flag would be a caution, the field would be frozen, and who's ever out in front would be the race winner. If they are able to continue on under green flag conditions all the way to the finish line, it will be a crazy race to the finish at Daytona, which normally it always is.
Oh, so we only have to make a half a, that should be easy. What's a half a lap? My goodness, as crazy as these restarts are, I think that could be a challenge that we've seen time and time again. These restarts, the front 4 cars, every restart seems more aggressive with the bump, the push. Am I connected? Am I not? I think this is going to be no different. Now, most of the restarts, we've seen some patience off turn 2, letting one another go. With only 2 laps to go, it's going to be interesting to see how much farther they dare take that tandem bump draft down the backstretch.
Let's listen in to David Reagan's team as far as what they plan to do as they get ready for this restart.
Some of those cars are going to be real close on fuel here. I think they're probably fine for this first restart, but I don't know if they will be for the next one.
Yeah, well, hopefully it only takes one, and we do what we need to do.
10-4.
So they're already thinking about the possibility of some of the cars maybe running out of fuel, but as long as they stay out in front of them, they would be okay if they can get to that overtime line prior to someone bringing out a caution.
Well, and the concern with that, Rick, is if one of those cars, we see Darrell Wallace Jr. running on the flat, trying to make sure the fuel pickup at the fuel cell stays full of fuel, even if they have fuel to run, when the driver goes to wide open throttle, brings the fuel demand up on the engine, increases it instantaneously on this restart. If there's any sort of air in the fuel system, the car will stumble. And we've seen how tight this pack racing is. If one of these cars stumble, that's all it's going to take to bring a caution out, and we'll have another attempt.
And you're already seeing Elliott Sadler make his way onto pit road. And we thought Elliott Sadler came to pit road, one of the latest cars, so that they would have enough fuel.
What's our procedure here? Can we get it started?
We just can't leave until we got 4 PSI of fuel pressure. Just make sure we got good fuel pressure before you leave the box.
Marty?
And guys, they thought they were actually very much to the good. Kevin Manring. In fact, Brett Griffin told Elliott Sadler a moment ago, we should be fine here on fuel, but we said it was a gutsy call by Kevin Manring. As you heard on the radio, they need 4 PSI of fuel. They're also spraying some right directly into the cowl so they can try and get as much fuel in there, but still sitting here and has not fired yet. for Elliott Sadler, losing valuable time, and there goes a shot at the win, guys.
Yeah, Marty, and if he tries to leave pit road, there's no rush right here, so this isn't difficult. If you try to leave pit road with more than 4 or 5 psi of fuel pressure, it will just stall out. It'll run for just a minute, you'll get out of your pit box, and it'll shut off, and then you don't have fuel pressure. So you have to have patience. You have to sit there, fire the engine, let it run for just a second, build that fuel pressure, and then leave.
The 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. was not keeping up with a cautious pace or the pace car, and so he has to fall in line where he was when he fell behind that pace car pace. And let's listen to the radio about what they had to say about that.
Back behind a couple cars here. Hold on. Not maintaining pace when the 1 stopped in front of us. I'm working on it here. Hold on. They're saying inside line behind the 7. I'll let you know. Oh my God.
Darrell Wallace Jr., driver needing a win. And now, David Reagan, Eric Almirola making up row 1. Pace car making its way off of the racing surface, back in the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. We are in overtime, sponsored by Credit One. Through 1 and 2, 4 cars packed together. Very tight as they go down the backstretch, racing for the overtime line. Three wide now as they go into 3 and 4. David Reagan still out front.
Very top momentum, very top.
Big block right there. Ryan Sieg had a big move on the outside. David Reagan made the block. Did what he had to do. Now let's see if Ryan Sieg can push him. Eric Almirola on the bottom being pushed by the 7.
Justin Allgaier in the 7, just below. The 98, Eric Almirola out in front. David Reagan dropping back a few spots. Justin Allgaier giving a shove to Eric Almirola, and into the wall goes David. David Reagan slamming into the wall.
Behind you, no cars, outside.
Darrell Wallace Jr. quick across the inside wall. The caution has not come out. The race is still on. Justin Allgaier on the high side. Eric Almirola on the bottom of the racetrack. Coming at a turn 4. And the caution will come out. Now we'll have to go back to video to find out who was in the lead when the caution light came out.
When NASCAR does when to throw the caution, they evaluate it. They knew the wreck was on the back straightaway. They knew that if they went back to the start-finish line, they could get slowed down before they got there. But they must have seen something on the back straightaway. They felt like they had to roll safety personnel, and that's why they threw the caution when they did.
Blake Cook, the 11th stopped. Quite a few cars involved in the accident. Benny Gordon in the 14 also involved again. And now it's up to NASCAR. We will look at the video. They will look at the video. The second that the caution light comes on, the field is frozen. Whoever is in front, whether it be Justin Allgaier or Eric Almirola, will be deemed the race winner.
Absolutely, Rick, and that's the key. We don't use timelines to figure out the finish. NASCAR uses a frozen field technique. That means they have to go back to the video, sync it up with the caution lights to be absolutely sure. We saw this at Talladega. This is what happens. But Jeff, you said it the best. How do they determine to put the caution out? They had to wait. They had to analyze the situation, see what they had on the backstretch. Something told them they needed to put it out. They did. And now we're going to have to see who is out front.
And it looked like they wanted to let them race back to the start-finish line. They didn't immediately throw the caution. They wanted to try to get them back over here and get them back to the line to have a race back. But again, the safety of the drivers comes first. They had to see something. They analyzed it. They decided we had to roll safety personnel, and that's why the caution came out.
Just like everyone at home, just like us right now, we want to know who won. Well, how about the 7? Listen into his audio.
Please just tell me what was missing. 10-4, man.
They don't know. We will show replays. We will let you see it as well when the caution lights come on, and then NASCAR will determine which car is in front, the 7 of Justin Allgaier or the 98 of Eric Almirola. And again, it's a safety situation. NASCAR would have loved to have seen this race go all the way to the finish line to determine who wins the race. In this situation, they deemed it wasn't going to be safe if they raced all the way back and the safety crews couldn't get out to the accident. Let's take a look. Riding along with Joey Logano. You saw the yellow light come on. We're going to slow that down and take another look, but they were almost door to door, wheel to wheel when the caution light came out. Almirola and Justin Allgaier.
It's a tough position for everybody. You know, the drivers want to end at the start-finish line. The fans want to end at the start-finish line. But again, I'm never going to say NASCAR, in the interest of safety, should do something other than err on the side of caution. See, the light's green. It's still green.
We're slowing it down. Light's still green. Light is still green as we look forward to the next one. Now it's off in yellow. And right there, how do you determine from this view? That is so close between Allgaier and Almirola.
I say the 98. It looked like to me the 98 was a little further ahead.
Yep. But to your point, Rick, that view is very, very difficult. And this is what NASCAR has to take in mind. Multiple camera views, sync up all the cameras, see if there's a better shot. This is gigantic for these two race teams.
Right.
Think about the 7, Justin Allgaier trying to make the chase.
One of the things that they're going to use, the technology they're going to use, is every camera is synced up time code wise. So the camera that we just showed, that vantage point, they will sync this up the time code of when it went to yellow. And you see up in the right hand corner, green light goes out. When the yellow light comes on right there, they'll sync that up with the other cameras, and they can look from a different perspective that will hopefully give them a better view of who was in front when the yellow light came on.
By that view, I think the 7. So I've given 2 opinions in a matter of 1 minute.
So you picked, let me get this straight. So you picked the 2 cars that were out front.
Well, I can't be wrong. There you go.
Oh, wait a minute.
There you go.
Awesome job, Fred Biaggi. Way to call fuel only, buddy.
Eric Almirola, the 98. Almirola wins at Daytona again.
Well, Mike, what they saw was their huge street vision video board just behind them.
The officials are holding them, even though the celebration has begun with the team.
Watching a replay just behind them on the board.
Such a close finish. Eric Almirola's last win came at Milwaukee back in 2007. And that win was credited to Denny Hamlin. Here's another look from the front. That is so close. From this perspective, once again, you can't get the depth perception. NASCAR had numerous cameras that they were looking at. Almirola is going to celebrate. He was told that he is the race winner. Such a close call, such a difficult situation.
Yeah, baby. Alex is going to go to victory lane tonight.
That is a close call.
Another look.
So by that view, I think it's pretty clear that 98 is in front. I mean, that's a much better view. So
yeah, when the yellow came out, actually it moved a couple frames, and then I think the 7 was just starting to make a move to get in front. But when that yellow came out, the 98 was in front of the 7. That's what NASCAR saw. And Eric Almirola has begun the celebration.
And the green goes out, and it stops for just a second. And then the yellow comes on. So you never know what's going to happen at Daytona. It's just
First Xfinity Series win for Eric Almirola at Daytona in his 8th race.
And you see right there that the yellow has illuminated once. I think the 98 is clearly, just as it plays forward, you see the 7 had the momentum.
Making the run.
But it's as soon as the yellow lights come on.
And we're going to hear from the drivers when we come back. Just moments ago, Eric Almirola with the checkered flag, running through the infield and the painted Daytona. The grass in the infield. He knows what it's like to win at Daytona. Won in the Cup Series and now has won in the Xfinity Series. We want to take a look at the wreck that happened behind them. David Reagan hard into the wall. And quite a few cars caught up after the fact.
Well, that's a big impact. Now I understand why NASCAR wanted to roll safety personnel. That's a big impact. Car essentially went underneath another car, another impact from behind. So, you know, again, listen, I know race fans want these things to end under green, but you can't fault NASCAR in this situation. No. That's heavy impact from 2 cars right there, and it only gets worse as this wreck continues.
Blake Cook in the 11 involved. David Reagan bouncing around like a pinball. 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. shooting across the track through the infield. Joey Gase in the 52.
This impact right here with the 11, the outside wall.
And then another impact right there.
Yeah, I just, again, we wanted to end at the start-finish line, no doubt. But they wanted to roll safety personnel. There were a lot of hard impacts on the back straightaway. They tried to give it a shot. They tried to go green, get it to the line. They just felt like they had to roll safety personnel. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You cannot fault NASCAR. We've seen drivers injured before. They need to get safety personnel to them quickly. Got no problem with that call whatsoever.
And it was a matter of fraction of a second that determined between Eric Almirola being in front or Justin Allgaier being in front. Let's go to Mike Massaro.
And Eric Almirola just about to get out of the race car right now. Celebration is on. A home state victory. This has been a magical place for him over the course of his career. Remember back to 2014 when he scored a Sprint Cup Series victory here. That is perhaps the biggest win of his career, but this one is right up there for sure. A photo finish victory for Eric Almirola in your home state of Florida. Did you even know that you won the race?
No, it was. I knew it was close. I knew it was really close. I had a good push from the 18, and I tried to side draft the 7 the best I could to try and stay in front of them. I knew they wrecked behind us. I was like, when are they going to throw the caution? I knew I was in front of them. Man, that was crazy. This is so cool. What a season we've had. We've had just a horrible season over on the Cup side, and things just haven't gone our way. And God, I'm so glad to be back in victory lane here at Daytona. This is such a special place for me. I won my first Cup race here 2 years ago, and for me, this is my first Xfinity win. I know I have a win, but there's always been that asterisk next to it, and I've been dying to get back in victory lane in an Xfinity car, so that way I can have said that I've won in all 3 series without that asterisk next to my name. So I just want to thank the good Lord. And I told my son, Alex, in the motorhome, he was pouting because he didn't want to come inside from playing on the playground.
There's Alex down here right now.
Yes. We won! Yeah! Yes! I told him he was pouting because we came inside from playing on the playground, and I told him that if he came in and ate his dinner...
Abby Lynn over here, too.
Abby's with us, too. I told him if he came in and ate his dinner, the daddy was going to go race an Xfinity race, and we were going to get a trophy tonight. And we got a trophy! Yes!
Well, he deserves a lot of the credit. I want to just clear up for the audience who don't really remember the asterisk. It goes back to 2007, Milwaukee, a race where you started, Denny Hamlin finished. You were credited with the win, didn't get it. This is actually your first Xfinity Series win. In regards to that, put it in perspective what this really means.
It's huge. I hated the fact that I got credit for that. I did not like that. I didn't take the trophy when they called me the winner. I didn't take any of the credit all along. I always always told everybody at the shop and Dave Rogers that day. Dave Rogers actually got the trophy. They tried to give me the trophy. I didn't want it. I didn't feel like I deserved to win that race because I wasn't in the car when the race was over. But tonight I was. And tonight we went to Victory Lane, and I'm here, and I was in the car. So this is my first Xfinity win.
No question about it. Congratulations.
Before we go, Fresh from Florida, they're a great sponsor of ours. Smithfield Foods. The Florida farmers do so much to provide such quality agricultural and produce for us, and this is really cool. They support us. They support me because I'm from Florida, and just a really, really cool night. I know it's the Subway Fresh 250, so hopefully Subway sells a lot of Smithfield bacon and Smithfield ham sandwiches tomorrow.
Sure, they're proud to be part of a winning team here tonight. Eric Almirola in Victory Lane in Daytona. Dave?
Justin Allgaier missed that chase-making win by a fraction. Did you think it was yours?
I guess it just depends on which replay you look at. We definitely had the momentum down the back there and kind of stalled out in the middle of 3 and 4 and then felt like we had it coming back again towards the start-finish line. But when you lose them by that little bit, it definitely is frustrating. When you can be disappointed with second, though, it's still a good day. Can't thank the guys back in the shop enough. Prepared an awesome car. Obviously, Elliott getting the win here in the spring, and then Elliott winning at Talladega. And we finished second there, too, so seconds are definitely close. But the Hendrick Engine Department, Chevrolet, everybody that's involved in making these cars go on a racetrack, all of our partners. Man, I told the guys before the race this was the best trademark nitrogen Chevy that I've ever had at a restrictor plate, and it showed tonight. We got some damage early and was able to battle back, but it is 4th of July weekend, Independence Day. Can't say thank you enough to Xfinity Comcast for allowing us to have the front windshield, to have a squadron, Air Force Squadron on there, and all the cars that have something on it. It's really the true meaning of our sport and supporting the men and women that go out there and allow us to come out here and do what we love to do. So thanks to the fans that were here tonight. It was a hot one tonight, but it's man, when you're that close, it's really, really tough. So thanks to all the partners at Junior Motorsports and the guys back at the shop, and we'll keep digging. At some point, we gotta maybe pull one of these off.
Justin Allgaier gracious in defeat, and Junior Motorsports still showing strong in this Xfinity Championship. Let's go to Marty.
Well, David Reagan's thinking what could have been this evening here at Daytona, and it's still the right move, David, to go up and block that outside line?
Yeah, you got to. I mean, Tony Hirschman did a great job, and I was kind of a sitting duck. I felt like my teammate Eric Jones did a great job on that white flag lap, and we just got separated. And I didn't really know that third lane was coming as fast as they were. And, you know, I saw that the 98 and the 7 had a decent run, but I thought I could block the very top. And, you know, you just only have so much room, and that's just the product of Speedway racing. I really enjoyed the ride tonight from Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota. The Camry was fast, and you know, we made the right moves. We were patient when we had to, a little aggressive when we had to, and sometimes the leaders are sitting duck. I didn't really want to see that caution come out because I felt like I was in control enough. I can make the right decisions, but on a green-white checkered, you have so many guys getting good runs, and we needed to be 2 and 3 wide up front. I didn't need to be by myself. So got to say hello to Matt back home. Thanks to Surface Sunscreen and all the partners here. Let's do it again one day.
You had mentioned the right moves all night long. Did you feel like before the overtime you had played the race perfectly and it was going to be yours?
Yeah, I made one mistake about 30 to go or so. I was a little lazy and stayed on the bottom. I didn't feel like the outside lane had enough good cars to move, and I stayed on the bottom, and man, that outside lane surged, and I got a little mad at myself for not being more aggressive. And so the next opportunity that I saw where I could jump up on the outside, I did, and it kind of paid off. We were able to find our way up front. But, you know, sometimes you're the fly, sometimes you're the windshield. And, well, we were close. Had a lot of fun. And like I said, thanks to all Joe Gibbs guys and Toyota TRD. We had fun. We almost got one, but came up a little short.
From a potential win to a wrecked race car for David Reagan.
Thanks, Marty. Let's take another look at the finish. And when I say the finish, when the caution light comes on, where the 98 and the 7 are in relation to each other. Green light goes out, caution light right there. Guys?
Hey, listen,
you want to make a call?
Well, listen, it's
tough. Very tough.
You know, it's why we all want the race to end of the line. We all want to be able to see a line 100% compare it. It's why every opportunity we get, that's what we want. It's why the fans don't like ending races not at the start-finish line. We don't like it. The drivers don't like it. You want to see a definitive line. I think they got the call right. I mean, I think they picked the right winner for sure, but we all wanted to see it at the end of the line.
I agree. I think the most important thing is getting the call right, however long that takes. NASCAR took a few minutes to review a lot of angles. They came up with a 98 as the winner. I agree with NASCAR, but you saw in Justin Allgaier's face in his interview, the disappointment, so close. And we grow up racing to a definitive start-finish line and all these things. But in the world of NASCAR, at 200 miles an hour with cars crashing, you have to have these rules. NASCAR's tried to create rules to make it fair for the competitors. I think it's black and white, sometimes hard to see, but the rule's black and white. And I think today the rule benefited Aric Almirola.
So NASCAR will look at video. They'll look at the scoring loops. They'll use every means necessary to determine what the finishing order will be. Right now, we only know the top 6 because that's what they have as far as video. Aric Almirola just edging out Justin Allgaier. Ryan Sieg, an incredible performance by Sieg today, finishing 3rd. Joey Logano, Brendan Gaughan, and Ryan Reed. Those are the top 6. To sort it all out, we have continued coverage from right here at Daytona International Speedway. We go to Krista, Kyle, and DJ.
Thank you, Rick. And yes, sorting it out, of course, is a relative phrase because when you are at these restrictor plate tracks, we saw it just, a couple of months ago at Talladega in this series. But there you see, obviously, the joy of victory in victory lane. Aric Almirola with his wife, Janice, his little girl, Abby, and the entire team. And we're going to talk about that, about there's always a winner and losers in a race. But let's start with the finish. We were here watching it, and I know it's always difficult when you get into these overtime situations and when races end under caution. What were your thoughts, guys, watching that?
Well, NASCAR's in a difficult position. They're not looking. The only reason they're looking at the leaders is just watching where they are, and as they're approaching, and they have their people on the backstretch where this particular accident happened. They really, if everything would have been cleared there and everybody down to the inside, and they felt that everyone was safe and they didn't need to roll the emergency equipment, they would have let them race to that finish line. But they got word. We saw some hard hits there. So they're not looking to see who might be ahead or how close it might be. It's just that at that moment they throw the caution, and it's unfortunate, as Jeff and Steve and Rick were all saying. You know, there's not a good solution to this. You just have to trust that NASCAR's making every effort to let them race there. But gosh, don't let that take away from some great racing that we saw right there. And you know, we can go back, just like we talked about the Daytona 500. Did Matt Kenseth make the right move in going? As a race driver and you're leading this race, you've got one chance to really kind of make the right move. Sometimes it's the right one, and sometimes it doesn't work out for you.
Yeah, I'm going to be straight up honest. I don't like races that end like this. I go home unfulfilled. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with anything about it. But I've got to give kudos to NASCAR for making the call. For making a call and throwing that caution for safety. We saw some cars, and when we played some of these replays back on the backstretch, you see guys up in the air on the hood of other cars. You see cars with flames coming out of them. There were some hard hits on the backstretch. You can't go and say, oh, we gave up entertainment, but we got somebody hurt on the backstretch. NASCAR made the right call, and when they go back and look at that footage, they made the right call there. Aric Almirola won this race, and that's good. Again, I don't like to see races in like that, but I don't like to see wrecks like that on the backstretch either.
And like you said, it sort of took seeing some of those other angles. We're watching this, obviously, to see when the yellow comes out. That's Aric Almirola in the 98 on the inside, and then Justin Allgaier in the 7. There you see, it's so hard to tell from that angle.
Yeah, you can't really. I mean, you can look at it. I mean, we've seen 3 or 4 different angles, and it looks like twice the 7's ahead and twice the 98's ahead, and it's hard. It just depends on which angle you get at, but I believe by what we saw, the most definitive was their head on, and you could see the 98 was just ahead as that caution light came up there. So again, a difficult situation. Would we like it? But this is something that the drivers talked to NASCAR about, were the multiple times and the multiple restarts, the multiple overtimes, or basically at that time it was 3 tries at a green-white checker, and the drivers felt like, especially at Daytona and Talladega, they were being put in a very, very difficult and vulnerable position, that with each of these, you know, we just see multiple accidents. So they're tearing up cars and putting the drivers in dangerous situations, and that's where this overtime situation came from, was them voicing their opinion about it.
Yeah, but I'm going to go back to something Dale said in the very beginning, in your first comments. Don't let the way this thing finished take away from what a really solid race, a good race it was. We saw plenty of up front. We saw Joey Logano. We saw Ty Dillon. We saw those guys school each other early on. We saw Ryan Sieg come back and put his car in position there late in the race. Some independent guys like that. We saw the Gibbs teams and the junior motorsports teams run up front. We saw a little bit of everything tonight when you go back and look at it. And if you get back 5th or 6th place, 6th or 7th place, it was mostly 3 and 4 wide racing most of the night. So it was a good, solid race. We did see a lot of accidents, but it was a good race.
And I think for us, probably for all of you watching at home, when this happens and the caution hadn't come out at this point, we were wondering why. Then when we saw some of those replays, Dale, you mentioned it was further back in the pack on the backstretch where the real trouble was happening, and that's when NASCAR had to throw that caution.
Yeah, we initially thought that it was just as David Reagan went to make a block that he got turned into the wall, and then that started something. But literally probably 6 or 7 car lengths behind them, there's actually another accident. So really you have only off to turn 2 for these cars that are racing for a win to slow down. That's where debris is started. If you send them back there at any speed at all, they run over something, and it could become a much worse situation. NASCAR was doing their very best, but that wreck just became bigger and bigger, and equipment needed to be moved at that time, and that's when they made that decision.
Yeah, good call by NASCAR on that.
And you see the victory lane celebration continuing for Eric Almirola, his team, the 98 team, and his family. And obviously very busy right now, enjoying the spoils of winning, and he's going to make his way over to our set, so we're going to be able to talk to tonight's winner in just a few moments when he's finished with the team. But something else you mentioned, both of you, when you talk about the good racing we saw, it wasn't just the racing. I think it was the fact that some of these drivers, especially these drivers who were racing for entry into the chase, were able to come back from some problems early in the race. It wasn't just 1 or 2 drivers, it was a whole handful.
My gosh, we saw Darrell Wallace in one of the first accidents, he and Eric Jones, and the next thing we know, and Justin Allgaier, he had nose damage in that very first accident. And then we get down with 3 or 4 laps to go. Those 3 cars are running in the top 6, and I'm thinking, how are these guys doing this? How are these guys up there? And then when Ryan Sieg made it 3 wide, it shuffled everything. And when as you said, when David Reagan made his move, and let me say something here about David Reagan. We saw at the end of the broadcast when they said, was that the right move to make? Never second guess a driver on the move he makes. He's the one that's in the car. He knows what's going on. He sees what's going on around. We can sit here and Monday morning quarterback all day long as much as we want to. But when you're at 140 degrees inside that car, running 190 some miles an hour, and you've got to make a split-second decision, you make the decision and you live with it. And David Reagan made a decision that he felt like was where he needed to be at that time, and just a lot of things transpired after that to cause the finish that we had.
And if you're watching at home and you say, hey, I'm kind of new to racing, I don't know how to relate maybe to being a driver, you can relate to emotion.
Yes.
And this race, we saw the highest of highs from Eric Almirola, and really the lowest of lows as Justin Allgaier climbed out of his car when he thought maybe he had the win. A win for this driver would have meant entry into the chase. And you see the disappointment here on Justin Allgaier's face.
Yeah, he's disappointed because just what you pointed out, that would have certainly put him in that chase. Almirola, on the other hand, he's elated. He told his son, hey, I'm going to go win a trophy here, and he
Look at little Abby
backed up
come in.
on that.
She says, give me some of that, Daddy.
Oh, how great. Yeah, there's nothing better than being in there for that. But Eric Almirola alluded to the fact that his Cup season has not been that good. And Kyle, we've been there whenever we were running and your Cup season's not going that well, and you can win an Xfinity race, certainly gives you a lot of confidence, and that'll help him tomorrow night. And
there you see that emotion for Eric Almirola. He is going to join us when we return here on NBCSN. You're going to see Eric Almirola race tomorrow night on NBC, but if you think a Friday night race doesn't mean something to this man, check this out. Eric Almirola, your winner here in the Firecracker 250 in Daytona. And we are joined by the winner. Congratulations. Talk about the emotion. First of all, just what it meant to win this race. Why so much emotion on a Friday night?
Well, it was huge all along since probably whatever year it was.
2007.
Okay, you know.
There we go. We just watched the interview, so we know what the date is.
Since 2007, I've been dying to get back to victory lane in an Xfinity car because I've won races in Truck Series and I've won a Cup race here 2 years ago in 2014. And I didn't feel like, even though I got credit for winning at Milwaukee in 2007, I never felt like I won that race, and I didn't deserve to have my credit in the history books, but now I do. And so this was just a really special night, and now I can say I've won in every NASCAR series there is, and it just makes me really proud and feel like I've accomplished a lot.
Yeah, take us through those last 8 or 9 laps, really, because so much transpired there. How hard was it to be patient and to keep your place where you felt like you needed to be?
It was really hard. All along, since practice started, I knew I had a car that was good in the draft, but it was not good enough to lead.
Yeah.
I didn't have, our cars, we qualified 23rd on speed, so our car just didn't have the raw speed we needed to go up there and lead the race, and I knew that. And I knew I had to be patient. I couldn't just pull out a line and try and lead the race, because I was going to get put in the middle 3 wide, and I was going to get shuffled to the back. So it was really important for me to just be patient and wait till the end. And if I got shuffled out and finished 20th at the end, at least I tried. But I didn't want to do that, with 30 to go or 20 to go. It was really important for me to just be in position to try and win the race, and that was what I was able to do.
So as you came off of turn 4, you're assuming that they're going to let you race to the finish line there. So you're just wide open. But from that point, so a lot of times if you've gotten there first.
Yeah.
But could you see the light come on and have any idea when that might have been and where you might have been?
No, I had no idea. I knew my spotter told me they were wrecking on the backstretch, and I looked in my mirror and I seen them wrecking. And I was looking to see who was going to help push me. I was starting to scramble, so I seen the 7 get a run on me, and I tried to side draft them down the back straightaway. At that time, I was ahead of them.
Yep.
And when my spotter said caution, when they're wrecking behind you, I was ahead. And then he said, they haven't thrown the caution, keep digging, keep digging. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm going to lose this race because they're not going to throw the caution. And so I was trying to side draft him, trying to make the 18 push me. And thankfully, we were, I guess, wheel to wheel and just far enough ahead to be the winner.
Okay, 2 questions. First question, when you pulled in to the line down here and the official stopped, how long did that take? How long did that feel like you sat in that car?
About 4 days.
About 4 days.
About 4 days.
That's what it felt like to us too, sitting. But I want to know this, and Dale and I talked about this during the broadcast. How hard is it, from a driver's perspective again, to get on somebody and then get off of them and know that you're gaining, and then get off and watch that inside line go by or watch that outside line? How tough is that mentally on a driver?
It's really hard, especially with NASCAR, the way that they officiate the race. We can't stay locked on. If we could just stay locked on, it wouldn't be that hard, but we have to try and time to when to push and when to let that guy go to try and keep our line having the momentum and make sure that the outside lane, I stayed pretty committed to the bottom all night. I made a few passes on the top, but I would always get right back to the bottom. So it was really, really hard to keep our line having momentum, not stay locked on and have patience. But my fresh from Florida Ford Mustang was strong all night in the draft. I knew it couldn't lead like I told you earlier, but I knew that I might have a shot when it came down to it.
Yeah.
2014, you win the Cup race here, as you said. Those 2 little ones down there probably had no idea about any of that, but they're certainly enjoying this. Had to be fun for them to see them come to victory lane.
That was so awesome for them. They weren't here in 2014. They decided to stay home. Abby was still really little. We saw the weather forecast was going to be bad, so they decided to stay home, and so they didn't get to enjoy victory lane. And it's very ironic. Today, just this afternoon, you probably heard it on the broadcast earlier, I told Alex to come inside from the playground here in the infield in the motor coach lot. I said, come inside, you got to eat your dinner before we go to driver intros. He came in the bus, and he was mad and stomping his feet and pouting, and he went to the back of the bus, and he decided he wasn't going to eat. I told him, I said, if you don't eat your food, you're not going to come watch me race. And I said, if you come eat your food, we'll go out to driver intros, and Daddy's going to race, and I'll try and get you a trophy. And a couple hours later, we got him a trophy.
One question here, again, from a driver's perspective. To go from 2014 in a Cup win to finally get this in the record book as a win in the Xfinity Series without an asterisk beside of it, what's that do for your confidence?
I don't know. It's hard to say right now. Makes me feel good about what I've accomplished. Makes me feel like I'm here for a purpose. I think the good Lord's blessed me and given me a lot of opportunities along the way to get to where I'm at. And so I feel really fortunate to be where I'm at. And there's a lot of days that I doubt, my ability, and especially on years like this where we're struggling. We've come off of 2 really good seasons, and this year we're struggling. We're not running good. We're having bad things happen, and we're not finishing races. So to come here, even though it's an Xfinity race, to get into victory lane is huge.
It's a big race.
Yeah, let's go back. You were running second there, and so then the caution comes out. So we have the overtime then. Before that, Did you have a plan sitting there as to when you might try to make a move, and had you kind of sized things up as to when it might be your spot and time?
I had, but you've raced this race a lot of times. You've won this race a lot of times, especially in Cup Series. So you know the deal. You can make all the plans you want. When they drop the rag, all your plans change. So I had a plan. I was hoping that the 18 was going to pick the outside because Elliott Sadler is probably one of the best drafters there is, and he had done a really good job of keeping me up there where we were. And I felt really good about having him behind me and the runs that I was getting when he was behind me, and I was just being really patient with that, and I knew that I had something to work with him behind me. So I was really hopeful that I was going to get to restart on the inside and have Elliott behind me. And then I guess he had to pit for fuel or something. So it actually worked out. I think the 20 had a quarter panel flapping, so I didn't think he was going to be a great pusher. So it worked out to have the 7 push me.
Well, I know I'm supposed to be listening to you, but I can't take my eyes off because Alex has not either stopped looking at you to see what you're doing or watch the monitor to check you out in the television. There he is. He's watching our monitor.
Yeah, he's pretty happy.
That's good.
He's ate up with racing, unfortunately. We've tried to get him
no, that's good
mitt.
too.
We've got him a baseball mitt.
He's figured out. Watch. He's figured out he's on TV.
Yeah, he's. They're
That's
both
priceless.
They're both pretty special. I'm really lucky to have Janice and Alex and Abby in my life, and I feel really fortunate. And man, I'm back in victory lane at Daytona.